Testing, testing, testing. Oop. There we go. That's a little bit different. 1 second. Doop. Alright, cool. Yeah, a little bit more of the curtain. That's great. Alright. Let's see. 3 viewers on here. That's great. Yo, Ty. Hey, man. I'm alright, Ty. How are you? How's work been, Ty? How was this past week for you? Hey, Viz. Hey, Matt. Death Ray. Sorry, Det. It takes me a little bit longer just because I have to do all the calculations to figure out which one you are. Oh, screw you, Viz. I'm working on that right now, man. Like, I'm waiting for the thingamajig to respawn. So it's gonna suck for a bit. I don't think it respawns yet. I think it's gonna respawn tomorrow. But I'm gonna go check. That said, Viz, don't like ya, man. Don't like ya. No, obviously I like you, Viz. Obviously. Oh, hey, Skill. How are you, Skill? And Ty, you got your car and now you feel free. Well, great. That must mean you are less stressed. I really hope that is what that leads to. Skelly, how are you doing? How's New Zealand doing with all their measures? Like in Canada, it looks like we're going to have, like, there's a lot of idiocy going on in my parts of Canada, and it's going to be annoying. Thankfully for me, I'm a homebody, so. Oh, hey, Omar. Hey, Common. Omar, have you seen the new spoilers for One Piece yet? Oh, man, yeah, there is. They don't look too exciting. It just looks like Luffy just gets back up to where Kaido is. Yeah, like, doesn't look super exciting. I don't know why they're, like, the Oda's slowing them down again. It's just kind of bothersome. Damn it, man. Like, these things haven't respawned, man. Like, it's not gonna work for me. Well, Viz, I can tell ya. I can tell ya because I've been at this over the weekend. It's 3 days for everything, because the fish that I'm looking for, the special ones are definitely not here for 3 days. When it comes to like the ones that are over here, you know, the koi fish. This is my second day of not having them because I totally cleaned this area out. I've cleaned out all of my fishing spots, so it's just a miserable time, man. That's all it really is, just a miserable time. Hey, Animamus. People talked about it, like, not the last stream, but the stream before that. Not too many people talking about it, so we can talk about it here if you want. I don't really have any opinions on it. I'll just kind of watch it as it comes along. You know, it's just, it's hard for me to get excited about miniseries. Pretty busy, right? Max level 4 lockdown is going on for at least another week. Oh, damn, okay. Did you hear the author of Dr. Stone gave the Red Hood manga a shout out about needing to study his art? No, I didn't. I know it was in Boichi. Was it Boichi that said that he had to study the art, or the actual writer? But let me just go back because I feel like I'm missing someone's comments here because I saw Ty's. But yeah, no, Ty, where did he say that? I'm kind of curious. You think when Yamato finally talks to Zoro, she will fall in love with him, or something, because Yamato hasn't met Zoro yet, and you know that guy that looked like Zoro in the flashbacks? I don't think she'll fall in love with, or I don't think Yamato will fall in love with Zoro. I think it's going to be more of an issue of maybe Yamato will be the one to bring in this plot point. That said, Yamato might stay quiet about it altogether. Actually, now you bring that up, that would be some pretty cool dynamics to see on the crew. If like Zoro and Yamato have this little moment where Zoro or Yamato asks if Zoro if he knows who his father is or who his parents are, that would be really interesting. But Yamato might keep it to themselves because Yamato might want to respect the fact that the samurai was no one by the time that Yamato met them. Oh, it was Boichi. Oh, now that's really nice. That is 100% really nice. You think when let's see. Do you think Mishima went too far with the latest Eden Zero chapter? Oh, is it out? Is it out? Yo, wait, give me a second, man. Let me go read Eden Zero. Yeah, the fishing gets extremely draining since it takes. So I want to get those. Yeah, man. I 100% feel ya. Like it just takes so long. It takes so much time. Let me just go check this out real quick. Yeah, guys, if you have any other cool things going on, like, you know, Ty just gave me that little bit of information that was Boichi that said that. That was pretty awesome. Let me just see. It was Boichi. Michael K. Williams dies at actor play Take Father. Oh. Wait, he died? Is that why there were articles about him? Wait, I like him. He's super cool. Well, that sucks. Found dead in New York City apartment. Well, way to go, man. I saw there was an article about him today, but it didn't say that he had died. I guess it was an immemorial. So possible drug overdose. Well, that sucks. I also read recently, like, some LA comedians got died from some fentanyl cocaine overdose. But I've been studying the art in Red Hood lately. I have way too much to learn. That's really nice. Okay, that's really nice. Right, Trip, you can forget about the last week's Shonen Tale. I think this week has much more stuff to discuss, so just the most recent one will be fine. Noted, Viz. Trip, how do you think Luffy will clap Kaido? Ultimately, it's going to be him punching him in the face, right? If we go Gear 5, that'd be really cool, but I'm not too sure. I know a short series it's hard to get, but getting to see anything similar to Generation Twilight, I think of a nice treat. Well, no, I definitely think it's a nice treat, Animamus, but you know, it's just, I want something long, you know? I want something more... I personally have no problem with having the childhood level Pokemon that we have right now, but I would like a companion series that's just, you know, a little bit more intense, kind of like Digimon Tamers, like a Digimon Tamers equivalent. I would like to have a longer type of series like that. Because I just want to see the Pokemon world in that regard, and Pokemon, even if we're along the lines of Pokemon Special, Pokemon Generations, that'd be totally fine. Okay, so I'm just checking out what Death Ray was saying real quick about what's going on here in Eden Zero. Give me a quick second. So, Death Ray, I'm like at page 5 right now. Page 8, I'm not seeing anything strange here on Eden Zero. Let's see. Still, I'm at page 11. All I can see here is a butt shot. I'll give it a read later, Death Ray, to make sure I read this properly. So I'm seeing some cool little things here. Okay, so then Mashima's just showing off his kink of taking a girl out for his for walksies, stripped her naked, leash on her. Let's see. Oh, I actually like that. The one character is pointing out Stockholm Syndrome. That's exactly what it is. Okay, and then the final little bit here. Okay, cool. Yeah. Overall, you know, Death Ray, the thing is, I don't like it. It doesn't really phase me at this point. There's like two reasons it doesn't phase me. One, Mashima does really questionable things in general when it comes to characters, like doing the, you know, doing that kind of humiliation play to the one girl. I legitimately, in a world where Mashima has stripped Erza down and tortured her by the hands of a lesbian devil, in a world where Mashima has had Gajeel crucify Levi and then has Gajeel get together with her and impregnate her, in a world where Laxus exists in general and he's a dick, yeah, no, man, like Mashima is, this is kind of just par for the course for Mashima. Like, yeah, he kind of tries to one up himself, but par for the course for him. As for the situation with Witch there at the end, pretty hardcore. But as long as Rebecca lives, I really don't care. You want to talk to me about things being hardcore, you can come back to me when this sticks and Rebecca doesn't override it. Like, Mashima right now with Rebecca has developed the ultimate plot device that he can make whatever dark thing he wants, and he now has something that he can justifiably use to overwrite whatever dark thing he shows off. So, you know, on one hand, if this is actually gonna stick, that's pretty awesome. But if I recall, the stars are backed up, so there should be a backup of Witch that isn't as long, that isn't the same problem as Homura's teacher. So they should not have an issue with backing her up right now. Nah, they'll probably come up with an issue if they really wanted to. But overall, like, that reeks to me more of the same death ray. Like, it's Mashima. This guy's a master of not letting things stick. I don't, like, you can say whatever you want about Eden Zero, but Eden Zero largely is still not letting things stick. Like, heck, I still feel that Homura's teacher is going to come back just by the virtue of, like, the chronophage existing, and then one day maybe eating up the planet. Oh, the birds are really having it. Mind you, like, you know, going through that, pretty aggressive stuff, but in the world of Hero Mashima, like, nah, not really. I'm not phased. That didn't really bother me. It's just I don't, like, you know, we talk about the My Hero Academia author not being really trustworthy on some things. Mashima's even worse in this regard. So for him, I don't really, it doesn't phase me. It doesn't phase me. Again, though, if he lets it stick, I will 100% respect that, and that's when I'll hurt. But until then. A ZKK fan. Don't know what that is. Or I can't figure it out. Oh, White Despair's here. Trip likes Stable series. He's tired of the Fling series. Yes, Speed. I'm tired of the Flings, man. Still hoping for something more like Pokemon The Origin. That was so good. And the Pokemon were fighting in real time. Yes. Trip, if Luffy wins against Big Mom and Kaido, is it bound to be higher than Rogers? Depends on how CP0 talks about it. It's all about the threat level. I think if they find out that Luffy has the most Rio Poneglyphs, I feel like, or the red Poneglyphs, if they find out he has the most of those, I think they might be really interested. It's about to watch a video, but can you tell? Oh, yeah, Ty. The video I did was more about talking about the rhetoric that was in the episode 22. It's mostly just talking about rhetoric, because I find the rhetoric more interesting. In terms of Villain Academia, you know, I'm more interested about the things that they're skipping, like Redestro's character establishing moment. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know, I'll have my opinions more formed when I go back through the manga and I see what exactly they removed. But for now, I think it's alright. I think it's serviceable. It's not a big deal for me. Like, I started the video off by saying I don't really care that much about the anime, in all honesty. I only care about the adaptation choices. And, you know, the other thing with me, the problem here, I can't give you guys a good opinion, because I watch the stuff for the sake of the YouTube channel. If I wasn't doing YouTube videos, I'm not going to be watching the anime. That's just the flat reality of it. Just because I find that to be a waste of time otherwise. Because I've already read the manga. That's why. I've read the manga, so I don't really ever feel the need to watch the anime. So going into that with that perspective, you know, I enjoy what I see. I like seeing the choices made. I do think it's funny that there's a lot of PowerPoint presentation type stuff. Like, I think Toga's episode was probably the worst for it. I guess I would have liked to see a little bit more of that in motion. But Toga's episode was just using a lot of stills. I found the Twice episode to be better. I kind of wish they didn't make it look like Twice made things out of mud, but what can you really do? Um, and then ultimately with episode 22, I found episode 22 to just be really good rhetoric talk and just it reminded me of just fun times from the beginning of the when we were doing it in the manga and all that kind of stuff. It was fun to talk about the like the logic of using your quirk in public and like freeing your individualities and all that kind of stuff. I like the rhetoric. Rhetoric was still on point. Really, really good for rhetoric on episode 22. But otherwise, yeah, a pretty typical My Hero Academia adaptation. I'm pretty sure the final episode of My Villain Academia is going to be really pretty though. Like it's almost guaranteed it's going to be pretty. Also, Trip, do you think Kaido is stronger than Roger because Kaido and Roger are both Haki masters, but then Kaido has his Devil Fruit and Virtual in thoughts? Maybe current Kaido is stronger than past Roger. I mean, like in their prime, Roger's probably better. Ah, hey Jason. Michael K. Williams, thick father, relatable character, and 50 was not character gay. Let's see. He said Shura placed a bomb in her rectum. Wow, nice. Nice. It should come as no surprise to anyone, but I saw theorizing that All Might's actually Toga at the end of that. I'm not surprised, just disappointed. Viz, I have her on the team just to gain companionship experience. That's the only reason. Let's see. But, yo, White Despair, I was going to make a video about that. I'm probably making it tomorrow or on Thursday. Just talking about crazy Twitter hot takes. And I'm 100% going to mention you, White Despair, because you're the inspiration for this. But that is unfortunate. That's not Toga. The specialty of a shonen writer not letting things stick. Seems My Hero Academia went on a sudden break this week. We also had an earthquake just a moment ago. This week seems to be looking quite... Wait. Hero Academia is on break? Really? Oh, no. Now I'm sad. Also, the earthquake is a terrible thing to have to hear about, but Japan's on a fault line, so was it a low magnitude earthquake? I hope it's a low magnitude earthquake. Let's see. Trip, what's the next island you think in One Piece? It's been a while since we've been on an island, haven't we? Yeah, no, the island stuff is pretty much done. I think we're just going to be dealing with finding the poneglyphs. Heck, we're probably going back to Marajoa. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to deal with the Vivi thing next. Jason said, oh, hey, Terry. What's worse about Toga episode is that there were more anime shots of Toga that weren't used. Yes, but we do know that they weren't used because these guys are running out of time. We do have to say out loud that these guys are working probably as fast as they can, and whatever went on, like someone did some bad planning and now they do not have time to finish the episodes. The Blu-ray episodes are probably going to look way better. That's the reality of the situation. The My Villain Academia episode will only look good if Nakamura is on it, otherwise it will just be okay at most. There is other solid animator on the series that stuff. Is a sudden break. Okay, one thing I did see that put a smile on my face was someone who mocked us by making a joke of their own. They proposed a theory that Twice made a bunch of clones of Toga, and these clones have transformed into everyone, so all the characters we are seeing now are actually secretly Toga. Mind blown. Nice! That's a good theory. Without the nerf the scene with the Doctor modifying Shigaraki, how much censorship, if any, you think there will be for when Twinkle awakens his quirk and goes maniacal at his dad? I think like the whole thing. Did you see the way that they did decay on the people that Shigaraki decayed, I think in episode 21? When Spinner noticed it? Yeah, like, at that point, I'm just thinking, yeah, it's probably going to be like that. It's going to be censored to that degree. It's just going to be like decay like that. Probably limit how much blood's flying around. Probably make it less macabre. Although, you know, at the end of the day, Shigaraki's decay spreading from one object to another that's touching it, you know, that really isn't that big of a deal when you think about it as an upgrade. Because I was just thinking this when I saw, you know, the moment in the episode where Shigaraki touches the tower and the whole tower falls down. It's like, yeah, decay's always spread. It's actually really interesting that we made such a big deal about decay not identifying the boundary between objects. And I mean, like, this is kind of a weird area, but that's not that big of an upgrade. All things considered, decay ignoring the boundary between objects, and what I mean by that is like, you know, you are you and your friend is another person. Decay also observes, or early decay also observes that boundary between you and your friend. But now, proper decay actually it actually makes a lot more sense. Decay should never have observed that boundary. Heck, it's still really strange that Snipe's quirk observes a part or like the wholeness of an object and all that kind of stuff. Really, the quirks are pretty odd. At the end of the day, I think Nezu was right to just assume that Decay would learn how to spread, even though technically Decay's always spread. It just jumps between objects. Powers, man, powers. Jason said the biggest upgrade Decay got was speed. You know, Jason, for me, it's always hard because I can't really tell speed in the manga. Because, like, Skelly made a point once before that Decay's speed from very early on seems to kind of fluctuate. Like, when it's affecting Aizawa in USJ, it goes really slowly. But then in other moments, it's, like, super fast. Let's see. With how they nerf... Okay, let's see. It's weird that Redestro having a business hasn't been mentioned in the anime. Agreed. Agreed. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen that. I think the anime might have dropped the ball there. Oh, that might be a fun fact to tell people. Chip, what do you think about One Piece finally being revealed? What? One Piece was revealed? What do you mean, Terry? There's no other solid animator. Okay, gotcha. I figured that's what you meant, Jason, so I got that. Have you done any of the Arkan quests yet, Trip? Viz, I'm slowly working on it. I'm on Ayaka's quest right now. You know, kind of just going at it slowly. Kara, my friend, she's finished the Archon quest, so I just go to her world when I need to get materials or I need to beat up Senora. It's a bit hard for me to predict how much censorship there will be next episode. At least going off the preview for the episode, there aren't censoring the blood from when Shigaraki's head splits open. I don't think this is going to be an issue of censorship. I think it's going to be more of an issue of like how much can they actually draw. Like, how much time do they have to draw things? That's what I'm kind of leaning towards. Trip, what's your favorite or your own One Piece theory, and everyone else answer the question too? What's my favorite or my own One Piece theory? My favorite theory is that Brook is an awakened Paramecia user, and my favorite theory is that Sanji had color of armament from the moment he activated Diablo Jambe. Those are my favorite theories. I don't really have any other big theories. I don't really think about it too much for One Piece. Yeah. At this point, I also think that the One Piece might just be the story of how Joy Boy made a giant mistake and accidentally split the world in 5 pieces. I think that would be pretty funny. It's just gonna be like one giant tale of one bumbling guy. Since as a child, it might censor, but to what degree, I'm not sure. Wasn't the case speed based on Shigi's emotions? Was it? I don't know. The K definitely had to be faster than the plane Ryuki couldn't catch up to, yeah. One Piece is going to be revealed soon. The creator even confirmed it wouldn't be friendship. Well, we know it's not friendship. Well, let me Google this. Oh, this is just like Oda saying that we're at the final stage. Yeah, the final stage is like 4 more years. Way to go. We're probably going into, like, after Kaido, we're probably going into another war. Yeah, that was the comparison I was using. I was incredibly slow versus Aizawa. The speed is possibly a retcon. It's incredibly fast, though, since Endeavor was booking it to escape the hospital. Yeah, it was incredibly fast. But when you look at the K's speed, like, when it affects Overhaul's guy goes down in an instant, whereas Aizawa is, like, being touched by this thing for a long time. It's just, you know, it's hard to tell because of the way the manga is, and then you can't trust the way the anime adapts things. But I do agree, like, spreading decay definitely is significantly faster in all instances of it. It's less dependent, or it's less variable than pre-spread or pre-awakened Shigaraki. I don't know what you want to call it. The One Piece destroys the red line. I'm gonna be honest, based on the last chapter, I'm not sure that attack on you is about to happen. I do think there will definitely be an attack on you at some point before the end. Oh, yo, wait, is the stream laggy? It looks like it's okay on my side. Terry got the info from Lost Pause video, and he was worried because of JoJo Part 3 and Dio's stand. Okay. I think the odds that All For One launch attack are about about 20% now after this recent chapter. I don't think it's gonna happen right now either. I think we do need some downtime. Like you know what? If we could get eight chapters of downtime and the kids actually doing tactics outside of the school, I'd be pretty happy with that. But it's funny, White Despair. I think it's 100% certain that All For One's gonna launch an attack at UA. It's 100% certain to me that there's gonna, like, UA is a symbol. Like, he's gonna attack the symbol at some point. It's just it's an issue of why exactly does he attack it. Oh yeah, and I saw that. Yeah, it was laggy for. Okay, gotcha, Omar. Seems fine. Okay, gotcha, Omar. Thanks, man. Thanks for letting me know. It's always worth knowing. But yeah, Viz, maybe we'll watch Shonen and Chill after we do just my commissions, just to get them out of the way, because this is the only time I get to do them. And then we can go ahead and do that. Your review of last chapter on how people see immunity types as more likely. Wait, so your review and that us as the audience shouldn't be that way. For me, oh yeah, no, Ty, I know that a good chunk of people aren't like that, but you know, there are people that say Toru's a traitor because of the quirk. Those are the people I'm referring to. Downtime equals 8 showers of Izuku 8 chapters of Izuku showering and still smelling bad. Man, Izuku, don't be Dobby bad. Don't be the Dobbs. You can do better than Dobby. Also, I really did enjoy Getten pointing out that Dobby smells burnt. If Getten's up in the air, if that thing's wafting all the way up there, like, Dobby must really stink. So, you know, I forgot how good Getten was when it came to Dobby dialogue. Before this chapter, I thought we'd get some downtime and then possibly All For One would attack. However, now I think the confrontation with All For One is more likely to be the heroes attacking him. Okay, that's fair. I mean, my final stance is I think UA will be either the final battleground or the second to last battleground. That's my stance on it, because and you guys might remember me saying like penultimate fight. That's what I think makes sense, and that's still where I'm kind of leaning towards. Jason said the Aizawa instance is probably the only slow example, so it definitely seems that Hori changed his mind after this, or it was a bad adaptation choice by the anime. I think it's more likely... God, where are you, Jason? Hori changed his mind because the decay shouldn't have stopped when it started on Aizawa, yet it did. So an early retcon about how the powers worked. Fair point. Fair point. Shonen and Chill, so many... Let's see. But how some situation doesn't add up, and Shoji, we just need more background. Yeah, Ty, like, for me, you know, it's one thing if you have, like, really good reasons as to why Toru does it, but if you're one of the people that leads with it's her quirk that lets her do it, you know, that's the criticism I go for. And mind you, in universe, it's going to be a real big problem, because, like, in universe, they're not going to exercise that kind of nuance. Unless the author, you know, plot armors. Do you see most of Class 1A being a support characters that just ensure that the civilians are okay? I honestly don't see them assisting Izuku in fights since he's fast. I can honestly see Bakugo, Todoroki, Ida, Kirishima, Tokoyami, and Kaminari doing really real damage in the fight alongside Izuku. Yeah, a good chunk of those kids are support, but the author is probably going to make a really aggressive kind of play to make it look like everyone was worthwhile. Much like how Kishimoto and Naruto made all of Naruto's friends from school get inside of Naruto's tails or whatever and use Rasengans. So, like, the author will probably force one of those moments just to make it feel good. But otherwise, they're not really... There's only a few people that are really worthwhile here. And the people that are going to be worthwhile are going to be the same people we've seen in action all the time. So pretty much Bakugo, Shoto, Ida, Tokoyami. And if Kirishima gets in there, that'll be really interesting. Kirishima might be too busy with Higantomachia if we're still doing that, though. Trip, you think Usopp gets Conqueror Hockey? Yeah, he might get Conqueror's Hockey by the end of it. I don't believe Dobby even bathes. That's fair. Personally, I have never used her as evidence when I agree that she's potentially a traitor. My main evidence has always been her unexplained absence when the press got in, and her subsequent unknown location at USJ. You know, the other thing here that's worth pointing out with Toru is, would Nezu not have isolated the fact that she was not in class on that particular day? Like, if you're Nezu and you're trying to figure out who might have been the person that screwed things up, would you not have gone in and looked at Toru? Like, I would have. I would have looked for all, especially if I'm the smartest thing in the universe. I would have looked for all the different information. I think also it's just, there's not really, like, we keep looking at this one instance in time, but there's not really enough other moments to really justify things. And also, I do want to point something out. Nezu and All Might say that they've noticed no suspicious behavior ever since the kids move into the dorms. And what's really weird about that is that May runs around in the morning testing out her devices, which I call suspicious behavior. And she has a device that has some kind of camera feed in it. Like, she has a little floating ball or something like that. I forgot what she called it. I think I might have been wrong on this one. So let me just very quickly make sure I got my my receipts on this one. But May 100% is suspicious. She runs around in the morning before anyone wakes up. She doesn't want anyone to see her stuff that she's working on. So, you know, this is one of those tough spots where you have the smartest person in the universe, and it's like, should I trust the smartest person in the universe? Maybe not. You know, maybe Nezu, like, it's hard to tell where exactly you should trust Nezu and where you shouldn't. Let me just see here if I can find that chapter again. I always love pointing out May, but I do know last time I was on this point, I had to make a correction. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah. May does have a device called her compact third eye. So the fact of the matter is, May quite literally has a surveillance drone. Right? That's 100% suspicious. And All Might knows she has a surveillance drone. You don't call something a third eye and not have it be a surveillance drone. So, you know, it's things like that, right? It's things like that. That's why I look at May and it's like, I don't know, man. You should point out that May is kind of suspicious. Okay, I see Midoriya right when he's about to take a bath or straight after my boy got get cleaned up. Decay doesn't have a fixed propagation rate. Trip, do you think UA will bolster their ranks by using all the entrance exam robots? Oh yeah, no, I feel like they would. I feel like that would be a good idea. I do think that UA will be attacked. However, I think the odds of it being location of the next battle have gone down with some of the recent rhetorics from these chapters. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, again, I think if we're seeing the fight of UA, we are so close to the end of the manga, it's not even funny. That said, there is one point that might be worth considering. The author talked about Ochako's moment, and there's a good chance that we just recently saw Ochako's big moment. In that same breath, he also talked about Shinzo and Monoma. You know, if we're talking about the proximity, what are the odds that he talked about the Ochako moment being so close, and then you have, like, the Shinzo and Monoma moment being, like, super far away? Like, these might be all things that are coming relatively quickly. And mind you, like, if Hero Academia is ending before chapter 500, then really, what, we have like 100 more chapters? That's roughly 2 more years. I mean, we're probably really close to the end here. How does decay work once it spreads a certain distance away from Shigi? If Aizawa were to look at Shigi after it spread a certain distance, would it stop or would it continue on by itself? I think, Viz, we've seen that Shigaraki needs to keep his hand on the ground to make decay spread. So if he's like a motor that keeps pushing it. No. The better way of looking at it, Shigaraki is like voltage. He keeps pushing, or he's like current. Okay, my physics are off, but he's the part of the circuit that continues moving current around. The actual drift speed of an electron is actually really slow. The only reason that electricity happens quickly when it comes to circuitry is because there's so many electrons that are constantly in motion. So when you look at it from that perspective, because Shigaraki's hand is the thing that's powering and pushing the electrons forward or pushing decay forward, then the moment that Aizawa looks at Shigaraki, decay stops. And that would, so Shigaraki probably works more when we apply electronic theory to him. That's how I would model Shigaraki's power. I see either Toga or Spinner or both leaking information to heroes, especially Spinner. He definitely looked like he was questioning everything when riding Hiyantomakia. I've seen people saying that maybe the final fight could be in the beach Izuku cleaned up, and thinking about it, it could help them against Shigaraki since he can't decay sand. That'd be interesting. Chip, okay, I know it's weird, but when Invisible Girl drinks anything, can you see the liquid just flow in her body? Because, yeah. No, because Invisible Girl has... She doesn't have that kind of invincibility. Invisibility, sorry. She kind of just redirects light vectors around her. That's pretty much it. How many named characters does My Hero Academia even have? I feel like a whopping 1,000 at this point. Like 466 probably. That's probably the better number. It's probably 466. Shigaraki is the one pushing decay spread. Yes, agreed. Chip, oh, hey, Miel. What type of decay Manchild got? Let's see. May being May. Perfect way to not seem suspicious by being suspicious. I find it interesting that the anime only don't believe those hands Shigaraki has are really his family, but a way to trigger him. Well, they're not actually Shigaraki's family. Like, we know a good portion of them got replaced after he broke them. And we know that two of them, or like two pairs, are from the two guys that Shigaraki killed first. Like, honestly, Shigaraki's busted up his hands so many times that those hands aren't the real things anymore. They're just... I'm pretty sure they're just the symbol of the thing, right? And also, Hana's hands were never on Shigaraki. There is no shot where you can see a child's hands on Shigaraki. Shigi's origin is properly spread across two episodes, it would seem, this week and next week. Okay. Suspicious for the students. Mei doing those things is as normal as Nezu talking for hours. That's why no one mentions her. One of the things that makes me think that All for One is launching attack soon is unlikely is because Aizawa has brought up the rhetoric of it being time for the heroes to get payback. I just think it would be weird to have Aizawa say that and then All for One immediately shows up to fight. It would just be like All for One offer himself up. Honestly, I think it's now more likely that the heroes go to All for One, not the other way around. I mean, that's... I don't really, like... Again, my only thing is that UA is going to be one of the final battlegrounds, right? I don't particularly care about how this comes about. So I'm not really thinking that particular direction. To give you some counter, though, White Despair... because like that reasoning that you brought up, let me just see if I can get something here. Yeah, no, the way I'm looking at this, right before Aizawa says it's time for payback, he says UA really is our stronghold. So when I read it, I'm reading it with that line right before it, and that makes me think like Aizawa's thinking of a defensive battle. Like, I don't think they win this fight without having the defensive advantage of UA. I don't think they win at all. So that's why I think he's bringing up UA. Like, especially for Aizawa. Aizawa believes that in UA you can take a break. Aizawa feels like UA is that safe place. I think it's just smarter for them to launch a defensive battle. It's a lot easier to win a defensive battle than it is to win an attack. That's just basic tactics. It takes 3 times the force to take down a fortress than it does to just attack someone in the plains. So that's my perspective on it, White Despair. Again, I don't think like All for One's gonna just launch an attack immediately. Mind you, we still have the Trader, and the Trader might still do something to compromise the whole thing. Like, in terms of like the whole All for One thing, I still feel like someone might be able to leak information as to where All for One is. I still think I think that's still reasonable. And will that end in them going towards All for One? Maybe. I think we still need a situation where Shigaraki kills All for One, so we'll have to see how exactly that comes about. Yeah, we'll have to see. That said, we're still getting attack on UA. Like, attack on UA is guaranteed. Monoma Moment will be Bakugo KO'd while he's out. A mega explosion goes off from the gauntlet. It's Monoma. He copied the quirk. His arms in... Okay. Let's see. We still haven't seen Midoriya's father or the Overseas Heroes, so I feel like those can act as flags to telling us we're nearing the final climax of the series. I agree with Kayla. I know everyone who can do. Let's see. If you think about it, at this point, Monma's rhetoric would be a step back from what the public and heroes learn because Monma, it's all about being on the sidelines. But the guy in the public said that there's no longer a stage to show off, so he might learn that being a hero is not about the spotlight. Ooh, this is pretty cool. This is a good one, Miguel. That's a really good one. Because now you're doing something pretty interesting here, Miguel. Because now you're using contrasting rhetorics to fight here. Monma's thing is about upstanding main character. Just hoping Toga can take on animal forms to easily enter UA. What would Izuku's answer be if she asked him like Ochako? Izuku's just gonna say like he's gonna try and save the villains as well. We know that this is gonna be just an easy answer. Maybe we still get a stall battle where we get Class A and B students stalling for Izuku to rest while fighting the other Tartarus villains we haven't seen. Yeah. I think that's more likely that the heroes somehow learn where All For One is and go confront them there. This will likely be where All For One is permanently defeated. Sometime after this, Shigaraki and the remaining villains will attack UA. Trader's ectoplasm. You can't trust a math teacher. Let's see, it was staring us in the face. Do you think they will do another mental escape fight with Izuku versus All For One? With Vestiges manifesting and getting a more tangible revenge versus All For One? One of my ideas for this has always been like Vestige All Might staring down Shigaraki and Vestige All For One. So I do think we'll still get like we'll still get a mental escape battle, probably like towards the last. It's probably going to be one of the last fights. That's how I would kind of imagine it. If like that's what I'm currently thinking. Now for the Monoma rhetoric, I think the Monoma rhetoric can still apply because the Monoma rhetoric is about background heroes and heroes at the front. Mind you, like Monoma is still addressing the optics of heroics and all that kind of stuff. But Monoma is very correct when he acknowledges that he's a supporting character because he can never really be that flashy. So he has to do the best he can with underhanded methods. Like nothing's changed for Monoma. Monoma still has to do underhanded methods if he wants to win. Monoma isn't Izuku. Monoma can't go into someone's face and hope that he wins. Monoma has to be smart. So his rhetoric still stands. And this is the same thing with Shinzo. Shinzo and Monoma, the reason that they're getting a big moment is because Shinzo and Monoma are probably going to have a really big moment that puts him in the spotlight. And when you have that happening, he's 100% going to come back with his rhetoric. The rhetoric of the civilians and the spectators, it doesn't take into account the struggles within the hero in-group. And these struggles are still seen when we look at Kirishima. In general, there are some people that are suited to going right to the center of a fight, and there's people who are more suited to being at the perimeter of the fight. The other thing with Monoma is that Monoma is the character that brings the rest of Class 1B together. Like Monoma is the character that might push Class 1B to succeed. You know how Class 1A revolves around Izuku and Bakugo? Class 1B revolves around Kendo and Monoma. So you have to keep that in mind. And again, one of the big demonstrations of Monoma's competency really is in school briefs when it comes to the Monoma and Class 1B's play for the Culture Festival. So we have to keep that in mind, but that was a really good tactic there, Miguel. That said, Monoma's rhetoric is probably going to stand because the author spends too much time about it. What would be interesting is for Monoma to reconcile the rhetoric with the new civilian rhetoric. Do you think there could be more than one trader? If so, who would you pick from each class course, like 1A, 1B, and support course? I think there could be more than one trader. At this point, like an easy pick would be Aoyama and Hagakure. Just throw them in there. What else? I'm not too sure what else. May's another good one. Power Loader, Vlad, Hound Dog. At this point, I just throw a bunch of names out. But I only think maybe 2 traders tops. Toga might transform into someone whose quirk helps her transformation last longer. I know that we're using Izuku as a measure for how much of the series left. However, I think after they're not really accurate measurements anymore. Oh yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they're well, the way it goes is like, if we go past an arc and we don't have the second user's quirk, we have a guarantee that we're going to get the second user's quirk reveal. At this point, though, I do think second user gets revealed versus All For One. I think that's when that one probably happens. My only problem with using the 45% control is that, you know, Izuku might suddenly be at 70%, like in 3 chapters. Like that might just be where he got to. And so like that number itself is also kind of tough to give a proper thing. Because again, the author could just say like, oh yeah, he's at 90% now because of Fajin exposure or something like that. But yeah, no, that's I largely agree with you, White Despair. Minato will get one for all and turn it into ball for all. Yes. Let's see. 1B would help if we had chapters of other 1B listening to him like Izuku and Bakugo do. Yeah, well, that's an issue with things in general. If you're noticing during joint training, people don't just ignore what Monoma is saying. Like when it came to Monoma's team, aside from his exaggerations, Monoma's team was working really well with Monoma. And Monoma did a lot more to talk to Shinzo. Like Monoma and Shinzo have a more developed friendship than Shinzo had with any of Class 1A. Like you are seeing little hints of it there, but the author is just not very good at it. Removing Monoma from the Gigantomachia battle site was also a pretty bad move, I think. One of the critiques to Monoma is how he used to shit talk about Class A for unfairly taking Assault Light out of Class 1B, as if Class A asked for it. Oh yeah, no, that's definitely like one of the early things, and that's still a very bad way of thinking. I do agree. I think it would be good for him to learn a better way of thinking, because like especially during Class 1A versus 1B, that rhetoric is just kind of stale because it doesn't properly account for everything at that point. But Monoma's general rhetoric about underhanded methods, I think, still stands. Right now, only his cavalry team could probably be used, and they're not the best. Kendo is Class 1A's, Midoriya, and Monoma is Class 1B's Bakugo in my eyes. Fair enough, slightly different. The Citizens' rhetoric is more so about stage expanding to include the citizens as well. Aoyama could be the traitor due to the promise of making his quirk work right and to stop the pain it causes. Makes sense from a character and in-universe standpoint. Terry, many people have that opinion as well. Unless we're going to see Izuku jump from 45 to 100, I think we have at least 2 jumps in control before the series end. I agree. I would say it's like 2 jumps in control. Izuku gaining full control, and I think 45 straight to 100 would be a bit much. I just think that the quirks are not nearly as accurate a frame as we initially thought they'd be. I agree, because of how quickly they came out. Although, like, yeah, no, still pretty quickly. Right now, I just think second user is going to be going up for All for One. I think that's when it comes out. At the moment in time, second user doesn't seem to be fully agreed with Izuku because of the imagery. So we still have that. We still have to kind of deal with second user and just how he got the scar and how One for All first spread. Could you imagine in Dobby's last fight, his skin just starts to melt away random places. I see Horikoshi going crazy with art showing a melted mess of man with bones showing through skin. Oh, that'd be cool. But that kind of says that Dobby goes into a full self-destruct, which I'm perfectly alright with, but that's going to be pretty dark. Alright, got to the end of the comments. Woo! Alright, cool. Great. Whew. Did it. Thanks, guys. I hope that being able to keep up multiple conversations at the same time is a worthwhile skill that will help me at some point in the future. I don't know when it will help me, but I really hope it does. Okay, and now I'm feeling kind of lonely because I have nothing to reply to. Should I go back to the Monoma thing? Nah, Monoma still has room to grow. I guess like the next big question is like, will the author actually pull off Monoma's rhetoric correctly to the point that you see growth in it? Probably. He might just have to cut it out. I don't know. They did no OP for Slime to fit as much as possible for these last 3 episodes. Oh, excellent. Where are we in Slime now? I just recently caught up to Tsukimichi. Let's see. And then Viz, yeah, once I get my commissions done, we will go and check out the Shonen and Chill. Do. Now, where is this thing? What am I looking for? Oh, dang it. Okay. What do you need? Okay, so White Despair continued. Unless we get Izuku jumping from 45 to X% and then X% to 100 within a single arc, I think we have a bare minimum 2 arcs before the series ends. Unless, of course, we get a huge time skip. When you start your cult trip, it will be extremely beneficial. Oh, yeah, okay. Yo, wait. The Church of Central Hospital is an official church that has compelling reasons to like them. Yeah, that is kind of a cult. But you know what? Whatever. Central Hospital, still one of the best places to be enjoying. Also, I was when I was watching the Hero Academia episodes, I was reminded of you guys, and mostly White Despair, because there was a moment where the Doctor was saying like, "Oh, the Liberation Army? I didn't know those guys were still around," or something along those lines. And it's like, oh yeah, this really does, like, when you hear them saying this, it's like, yeah, All For One really doesn't have that much of an information network if he couldn't figure out that 200,000 people were being turned into sleeper cells. So it was actually kind of interesting, you know, when people say that All For One knows everything, it's like, well, maybe not. These guys were pretty blind when it came to this kind of stuff. I think the reason why so many people had to support Ochako's rhetoric is because the objective public of the magazine, the author had to reiterate so many times so people wouldn't misunderstand. I agree with you, Miguel. I agree. We talked about this. I agree. Totally agree. I feel like Aizawa can't contribute as much as he used to. His prosthetic leg isn't going to make him very mobile yet. Yo, if the leg has rockets in it, though, that would be great. Can't move. He lacks more depth perception, so he can't really see on the right side of him. How do you think Aizawa will fare? I think the author has finally done enough to make Aizawa balanced in the universe. So I think Aizawa will work as much as the plot needs him to work. I think that's the final answer on that, Kayla. Like, he will work the moment that the plot needs him, and then he will be out of the story when the plot doesn't need him anymore. For instance, like, the big example is like how he worked during Shizaki's stuff. It's pretty much going to be like that. You know, that's just how it's going to go. So I'm sure when it comes to Aizawa, there'll be a lot of stress about like, oh my god, Aizawa did his best, but it's like there's physical limits Aizawa has now, guys. So this time, Aizawa won't be hit by a quirk that slows him down to the fraction of a second. No, this time he just flat out can't make it there. So I think Aizawa will probably be good for the beginning of a fight. He'll probably make things easier, but then once you move into the second phase of the fight, in the same way that the author has done before with Shizaki, Aizawa will not be useful. So the second phase will happen uninterrupted. So the issue with Aizawa is that he ruins the tension, and because he ruins the tension, the author has to get rid of him before the tension needs to be there. So the use here that I would imagine is just Aizawa is the guy that is there to delay the villain at the beginning. He delays the villain at the beginning of the fight, allowing time for the hero to make a comeback. That's pretty much what he's going to be. He's probably going to be an enabler in terms of the perspective of the narrative. Also, another point that I remembered, because it's just funny. You know, Makia in this episode, in the most recent episode, woke up after the doctor just gave a simple message, like, you know, just play a recording of All For One's voice, and Makia gets up. And this is just my big thing overall when it came to Makia and during the war. The fact that Makia could easily be woken up out of his set schedule by simple, well, you know, by very simple voice recordings. It's like, yeah, no, the heroes were really ballsy saying that this guy was going to be in check for the majority of that war. They're really lucky that the doctor didn't have a very simple recording that he played, like an emergency recording. They're very lucky that the doctor let them, the doctor was a little bit careless on this one. Because otherwise, a simple recording of All For One saying, like, Makia, get into action, that by itself would have wrecked a lot of people's plans, not even counting Shigaraki. But so thank God that the Doctor and All For One did not plan everything out that perfectly. But then again, we know that All For One doesn't really plan everything out perfectly. Honestly, when it comes to All For One is more of a, like, again, he's an opportunist. He waits and sees, and when the opportunity strikes, he goes for it. All right, let's see. Do you think the reason All Might walked away from UA is because he feels like he's bad for society? I'm not sure if it goes that far. I'm not sure if All Might can see that. I feel like it's more he's bad for Izuku. Like he feels bad that he screwed over, like he didn't do well enough by Izuku. Like at the end of the day, Izuku left All Might. All Might couldn't speak the words that he knew had to be said, and then it led to Izuku having to get saved by his friends because All Might failed, right? Like that's the ultimate thing here. In my mind, it's 100% guaranteed that All Might thinks he failed Izuku. So that's what I'm planning on, or I'm hoping to see in the upcoming chapters. But of course, if the author wants to do a different rhetoric, that's 100%. Just make it solid. Vince said he suddenly got the feeling that if students were to die, Monoma is one of them, and he does it protecting one of the main characters out of the way of danger. What? I don't know. That'd be interesting. I hope not. What character being the traitor would break your heart the most if you have a heart? Ha! You added the right point. No, I don't have a heart. Well, like Fuyumi, if Fuyumi was a traitor, that would kind of break my heart, because it's like, oh shit, I was kind of rooting for you, Fuyumi. Like, holy crap, I thought you were the best. If Koda was the traitor, that would break my heart, because it's like, what the heck is going on here? If Eri was the traitor, that would break my heart. If Momo was the traitor, I'd laugh. If Koda's rabbit was the traitor, that'd break my heart. Yeah, man, I don't know if I get my heart broken. I mean, I don't. If Suyu was a traitor, maybe that one would actually make me feel a little bit weird about it. Maybe that one makes me feel weird about it. Yeah, that's probably the closest I'm gonna get, man. It's probably Suyu. That's the closest I get. Anyway, Viz, to answer your question about Raiden. Yeah, no, my Raiden is like at level 66. So I forgot to answer you, man. Sorry. And then the artifacts for her, they're at 16. So right now I'm just kind of taking it slow. Is she good enough for Spiral right now? I don't think so. I don't think she's at a point where I can say she's good for Spiral. There we go. One more level. And I still need materials. I gotta go fight that thing with Kara tomorrow or something like that. Talents are still pretty bad. Gotta power her up a little bit more. Probably could do a little bit of that right now, actually. We can give it a go to Spiral. Oh, wait. Did we finish this thing up so we can do Shonen and Chill? Yeah, I just did. So let me just very quickly go check if I can make these materials, and then we will watch Shonen and Chill at the lowest quality, because the computer will break otherwise. Like I already explained it. If you don't get it at this point, you're officially dumb. But I bet there will still be some people that will not get it. You know, Miguel, I agree. And that's why we have the wonderful White Despair here. If White Despair notices that people still don't get things, I think then we know. You only need 3 people to make a religion, so the Church of Central Hospital can be a legitimate thing. Ah, thanks, White Despair. Hey, Seth. Didn't thought of Ayama's traitor before, but he's been acting sus lately. We never get to see his face. He hasn't had his moment. While everyone had their masks off, he kept his. He looks sus to me. I mean, fair enough, AN683. Like, for me, I just really hope it's not Ayama. Because it's just like, I'd rather it not be.
Would you care to sit down?
It's mostly because I don't want the most annoying parts of the fandom to be right. A lot of my decisions are really based on whether or not I want the fandom to be right. Like, for instance, this whole Toga is All Might thing. It's like, I don't want the fandom to be right on this one. I don't want them to be right at all. But you know, the fandom has had crazy theories before. Like, remember when everyone was saying that Inko died because of a bicycle? God. How many people do you think will die in the final battle? Aizawa will need to be one. Maybe just one person to make... Like, of the known characters, maybe one person that we know, like midnight level or more, to just say like, oh my god, there were like deaths. There were deaths here, guys. People died. But yeah, I see just one sacrifice pretty much. I know everything. Oh, sorry. I couldn't hear you over the sound of my 160,000 soldiers. Yes. Although it could also be he's just depressed or something. I don't know. I think it's depression. By the way, I like how during the sports festival, Endeavor was looking so young. When the comes the Liberation where he's looking so old. This man aged so much within a year. Yeah, well, it's a pretty busy year. I mean, like the man got his gut like ripped out of him by a Nomu and then got half his face ripped off. All for One does. Oh wait, All for One is a Jack Sparrow of villains. Agreed. All for One does not simply want to rule over the world. He also wants to make the heroes feel like they might have a chance of winning, just to crush them later. For oh, you're right. Yeah, no, if random, yeah, if Pony is the traitor, I am gonna feel really sad. What does that say about Americans? Suyu being the traitor would make everyone go nuts. For you being the traitor, I'm sorry, NG, but All for One is my. Oh god, I'm not even gonna read that out loud, man. Oyama is probably jealous of Izuku adapting to his quirk, and he's still incompatible with his. I guess that's a motivation. That make him look really petty, though. I'm not sure if I believe that our Aoyama is actually that petty. You know, personally, I'm not sure if I believe it. All Might, you will fight this battle all by yourself and suffer. Handle all this boredom, but don't worry. I'm cheering you on the sidelines. Class 1A, we aren't sitting on the sidelines while you suffer. We will fight alongside you. We'll take some of your burden off of you, so it's not all on you. That's nice. That's really nice. Yeah, that's a nice comparison. Although, like, at the end of the day, when it comes to the final battle, Izuku's gonna be by himself, and probably only the vestiges are gonna be next to him. Like, legitimately, that's probably what's gonna happen. What do you think is All Might's next move? I don't really know, Ken. I'm not really sure about next moves. I just feel like All Might's gonna be staying away from Izuku in general. Maybe he and Stain talk or something like that. I just feel right now, I just want to make sure that what I hope for is that All Might doesn't do something stupid. That's all I really hope for. I just don't want All Might in this moment of drama to go and drive himself into All for One's clutches. People die when they are killed. Yes. Let's see. White Despair said, "Hey Trip, Ocean's uploaded a video called Dumb My Hero Academia Myths I can't believe still exist. You should watch it when you get time." Oh, okay, yeah. Just as in real life, the regular civilian can't relate to authority, so when a politician or policeman tells you how hard it is for them, it sounds rather condescending because since the public, they have never been in a position of authority, they can't relate to them. That's why it's important the public realizes it themselves. I agree with you, but if we are in the case where quite literally all of the world around you is falling apart at the seams, where quite literally hundreds of people are dying every day, again, it's a case-by-case situation, but like in the most extreme situations, you have to just be able to say like, hey, you all are idiots. Either you follow me or you die here. And look, a lot of post-apocalyptic shows, 100% are going to have one person that comes out who is an authority figure and just flat out tells people how it is and tells it to stop being stupid. It's all about the perspective on this one. Like, yes, in Hero Academia, the fact that they still have the luxury, and believe me, getting a civilian to be the spokesperson for this and throwing yourself at the mercies of civilians, that's 100% a luxury in Hero Academia. And again, in terms of narratives, it doesn't take a lot to get. And let's throw away the condescending thing. If there is threat of death on top of you, people aren't gonna care. Especially if you're watching like if you're reading or you're watching a pro-military narrative, 100% you're gonna have the military just flat out telling people what's up. If you're doing like post-apocalyptic, 100% you're gonna have someone who's smarter than all the rest of the people telling them, hey, either you come with me or you all die. That's just flat out how it goes. These narratives do work. But to Miguel's point, what's going on here, when you're talking about relating to people, you can talk about that because, again, you have a lot of leeway to do that. You're not in the worst possible situation if you're talking about public relations. And mind you, that's exactly what UA does. UA, by being a bastion and a place of security, allows the leeway for the heroes to take a break and quite literally throw themselves at the mercy of a random civilian's judgment. But in across narratives, depending on the situation, waiting for a civilian to figure out what you're trying to tell them is a pretty dumb move. This whole thing about advocating for other people's sake, because it's condescending if you say it yourself, again, that's a luxury. That's 100% a luxury. And yeah, I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of natural disasters when there's actually like serious things going down. I don't care. Like if it's a police officer telling everyone to stop being stupid, I legitimately could not care less. It's like it needs to be said, but it's always, if there's one thing you take away from this, it's always a function of how imminent is the danger. If the danger is imminent, then you're gonna get the really hardcore person being condescending. If the danger isn't imminent, then the optics change. And it's a very nuanced situation, but the point is, you only have to shift the narrative slightly to make either situation work. Oh, hey, Lila. Like, honestly, I think if the public had actually been maimed more, like the public that was at UA, if they had been maimed more and they were actually still in the throes of this, I think you could have justified, the heroes just telling them to like shut up. Especially if the public had at any point led to a critical moment where a bunch of heroes died. If the public was responsible for that, you 100% have the moral justification and you 100% have the narrative justification to create a situation where the heroes talk down to them. And I keep saying talk down with quotations just because we have to be really careful with how we're using the semantics here. But that would be like another narrative where you can 100% have the heroes talking down to the civilians. All depends. Again, the thing here, it all depends on the surrounding circumstance, and it is legitimately very interesting where exactly these different approaches apply more. I think Hody would include Vigilante's characters in the main stories. Maybe. Actually, you know what? I still have more good points because like Miguel has really good points here. One thing that you could say in the situation where an authority figure takes over and you're under the threat of imminent danger, like Miguel made a good point that it's important that the public realizes it themselves, because if you have a situation where the public got told what to do and then they get out of imminent danger and they go back into a lull where there is now less imminent danger, you 100% could get the public falling back on their bad habits because they ultimately didn't learn a lesson. They just got told to shut up and come along. Mind you, you might also have like a bunch of sheeple at that point who maybe don't have the backbone anyway. So that would also be like an interesting way of going about it. Like you could depict like the fallout of it. So there is value in making sure that people learn the lesson as opposed to being told the lesson. Because, again, people don't actually... Oh, so many nuances. Sorry, so many nuances. The entirety of Hero Academia society is pretty much the product of people that went back to bad habits. And they continuously do this. So it is important that they realize it in this particular step. But still, overall, you can justify any kind of narrative that you want depending on the surrounding situation. Too many nuances. But it's fun to talk about. Let's see. I honestly see Bakugo fighting All For One while Izuku fights Shigaraki if they do not take down the physical All For One first. That'd be interesting, Kayla. That would be really interesting. Hey, Trip, did you see the tweet from Nick Jr. with the original host of Blue? No, I did not. I know I asked this before, but can Toga copy stockpile quirks? In my opinion, if she had Eddie's blood when her horn is big, would she be able to copy Eddie at that exact moment? I'm not sure, man. I don't think she can copy... Let me think. Do we have any examples? I don't know. I want to say no, just to make it safe. Because giving her the ability to copy stockpiles is just a little bit too much for me, I could somehow see All Might succeeding killing All For One original body with Stain, leaving All For One Shigaraki as Deku's final fight. I don't think All Might will succeed in killing the original body. That just feels like too much. I don't know, Ken. I don't know. Todoroki has Dobby as a nemesis. Ochako has Toga. Ida has Stain. But let's be honest, he won't take on Stain in the final fight. No, he won't. I think like Ida's nemesis at this point are just Nomu. Horikoshi could pull a Legend of Korra and cut Izuku's connections to the Vestiges. Actually, Mark, I think that's going to be the end of Hero Academia. I think the Vestiges all self-destruct to take out All For One's Vestige. And then they pass on to the afterlife. Because like really, the idea of being stuck in a teenager's body forever, not a really great afterlife if you ask me. I don't know why, but I want Class 1A to run into Stain. Imagine the truth coming forth to the class that Izuku, Ida, and Todoroki took down Stain. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Oh yeah, you're right, Kayla. That would be pretty cool. You should see for Neverworld's review of the latest. He was on the surveillance side. It was pretty hilarious listening to someone who agreed with them. Oh, really? He's on the civilian side. I mean, like, look, man, the civilians are in a bad spot. The civilians are 100% in a bad spot. Um, because they like the heroes again. Remember, the optics here are not great for the heroes. The heroes have continuously failed. Like, you'd be crazy to actually trust the heroes. Like, if I was me, I'm not trusting the heroes. I don't care. It's not an issue of that. I know they're people, but I know that these people, as a governing group, have failed 100 times before, right? And the thing is, like, because of the traitor, we know that the heroes are going to have some moment that allows the villains to strike at them, even if they win at the end. Like, again, you know, the thing that what the civilians are doing right now is that they're taking another leap of faith. But let's not forget that this involved a lot of emotional handholding to get them to this point, and a lot of guilt tripping. Like, what we're seeing here is a leap of faith, and honestly, the heroes don't deserve it. No, not the heroes that created a situation that allowed Bakugo to get kidnapped. No, they are 100% do not deserve it. Especially not after what All Might and Gang did to Izuku, or like what they allowed to happen to Izuku. I don't know why, but I got that. Let's see. Oceans also uploaded a video of all the changes from manga to anime for Hero Academia. Personally, I got a good laugh simply because of how few changes there were. Yet he still made a 1 minute long video, a 10-minute long video on it. You know, White Despair. It's pretty interesting because, like, when I was doing, I did a few comparison stuff for season 5, and it's just like there's not enough things to talk about. When you look at it, and I mentioned this in my video, there's not that many differences. There's only a few key omissions, but aside from the timeline shenanigans, not that many differences. And you can look at my comparison videos. I haven't made that many for season 5 just because, again, not that many. But my comparison videos are usually like 7 or 8 minutes. Like, a lot of times there's not really a lot to talk about unless you're talking about why people remove certain things. For better or for worse, Hero Academia is about a hero-run society. I don't think it's hero-run. I think this is like, I think a good chunk of it is still capitalism-run. Like, the heroes are just a cog in the machine, but the people in power aren't heroes. The people in power are like people in the government, right? When you look at the things that cause the problems that we're in right now, it's not heroes at the top. The media eviscerate them. The villains get produced because society in general are dicks. And then you have other dicks in the Public Safety Commission making things worse. Like, nah, the heroes are a cog. It's not a hero. It's a hero-dependent society, but it's not hero-run. I'm sending a lot of the chat to get. Oh, thanks, Kayla. Plus the mutant quirk got to be fixed in this new society. I agree, but that one's gonna be interesting to see. I was looking, like, in episode 22 of the season right now. There was a moment that was talking about Twice's genesis as a villain, and it was pretty much Twice run over a really influential guy, and that influential guy used his social clout to put pressure on Twice's company that then got mad at Twice. When you look at that interaction, there's no hero involved. So my question is, like, yeah, how do you prevent this? When it comes to society, how do you prevent this? At the end of the day, the heroes can't do anything about societal evils. And, you know, back to Miguel's point, you know, if Ochako wants to make a difference in society, then 100% she has to start talking down to people. Because when you look at it, the people causing problems in a very real way are just civilians with a lot of social power. I mean, again, Twice is the example here. Look at what happened to Twice. Some guy applied pressure through non-villainous means, just through dickish means, and Twice gets put into a bad route where he has to do unsavory things to survive because of how much pressure was put on him, and, you know, how he ultimately lost his job. When you look at situations like that, these platitudes about being nice to heroes, they do nothing for the villains, and the villains are the reason that the heroes are working so hard in general. So when it comes to society and all that kind of stuff, we still need to see actual, hey, stop being a dick. Stop exploiting your power and using your power over other people. And look, I'm not even going to forget when it comes to Nagant. Nagant was a person quite literally looking down from her ivory tower at the people down at the floor talking about how her society is fake. Like, that was just so... that was so on the nose for how people who are richer than you look down on you and don't understand the problems that you go through. Like, if Nagant did not have as much social power and was more on the ground the way other people are, she's not going to have this ridiculous ideology about the way society works, right? Like, when I look at Nagant and you have that scene of her in her skyscraper looking down on society, it's like, I can't take you fully seriously beyond a certain point. And it's unfortunate because she's actually a victim, but the optics of her situation are also just so rough. Mind you, I'm not talking about the heroes talking it out. It's more about how the public would feel. I don't think the heroes would want to be condescended, but haven't fully realized the shitty situation. I don't think the heroes would want to be condescending to them, but since the public hasn't realized the full situation they're in. No, I agree. I don't think the heroes want to be condescending. But again, if the situation changes and the civilians are directly responsible for a massive loss, some heroes are going to let them have it. For instance, Bakugo is going to let them have it. Bakugo's not going to care. And Bakugo might be like the best one to just yell at them. I actually don't see Deku's powers going away. I don't think Deku's powers go away. I just think the vestiges do. I saw someone online once say they think Izuku would lose One for All before the end of the series simply because they thought it'd be weird if Izuku goes on to have 8 voices talking in his head for the rest of his life. I think it's depressing. But I only think the vestiges go away and maybe the extra quirks. Maybe Izuku only keeps the super strength. That's a good idea, Trip. Let's let them self-destruct to take out the vestige and let them get some rest. Yeah, I think like at the end of the day, I think you have to acknowledge that All For One, he only wants his brother, and at the end of the day, you know, I think it would be nice if All For One and his brother pass on together, right? One For All takes out All For One once and for all, and they go on into the afterlife properly, and they don't have to be stuck in Izuku's body forever. God forbid. It's just kind of depressing, man. Mind you, it's not that different from actual Japanese society. Even teachers bully their students. It's so shitty. Oh, man, that sucks, man. Like, shit, man. No. I'm not into that. God. As a victim of teacher bully abuse. Yeah, no, man. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Zenrato, right? Riz, that's who we're looking at. Oh. Wait, he bothered making a 1-minute video? What differences did he find? What differences did he find? There's only okay, I'm pretty sure I could do a much better differences comparison. It's my bread and butter. Like, analyzing adaptations is what I do. Oh, oops. Oh. Sure, I'll let the ad play. Best hero who talks senseless villains was Batman in the Dark Knight Returns Part 2 movie. Took a local vigilante and took over Gotham when it was in chaos. He even proclaimed, "I'm the law now." Society are the true villains. Yeah, societal evils are the problem. Also, Death Battle is coming back, and a future episode has Coda in it. Hope her opponent is Storm. The movies and cartoon never do her justice like in the comics. Agreed. Ochako, who makes YouTube videos for YouTubers? It's funny. Other YouTubers, like actual other YouTube gurus. The Safety Commission is the next enemy. They were the ones who make certain heroes like Nagant and Hawks do the dirty work to keep an illusion. The thing is, Kayla, I feel like the Safety Commission has been broken down already, such that they're in a period where they could be reformed relatively easily. So I'm not sure if they're going to be a big opponent, right? Because they're so weakened already. Like, if I'm Hawks, I'd probably take it over and change the rules a little bit. I think that's what I would do. Nagant just learned the hard truth, and not her fault, but she thought being a hero was going to be puppies and rainbows. This also comes to the promise of peace that All Might made. Well, like, you know, at the end of the day, peace is hard. Peace is not something that just comes naturally. It's hard won. Or Izuku could restart the One for All, like how Koda restarted the Avatar cycle. That'd be cool. I honestly want Izuku to keep the strength, speed, Black Whip, and Fajin, honestly, when this is over. I would like it too, because then when aliens show up, Izuku wins. Sometimes a student needs a little character building, aka bullying. There's constructive bullying and then there's destructive bullying. Oh, hey, Sar. Twice origin story bothered me because if his boss was the real one, he would have just told the guy he hit that Twice was fired. He didn't actually have to fire him, suspension or a different department. Yeah, Leela, but like you have to keep in mind that this guy is just like a caricature for like bad circumstance, right? It's just a caricature for society being bad to Twice. That's all it really is, Leela. It's just a plot device to say like, oh, boo-hoo. This is what these people did to Twice, and this is how he reacted. Mind you, it also just speaks to, again, these are societal evils. Like to this day, we don't have, again, Hawks can talk about a life where heroes can take it easy, but before we get there, I'm still thinking like, okay, get rid of people shaming Gentle's family, right? Get rid of people making fun of Shinzo for having a quirk that makes him look kind of villainous. I need to see all these things happen because otherwise this future that Hawks is hoping for, it ain't coming. Which is why, like, for Hawks, I really do hope we just see whether or not he's incorporated villains into his rhetoric. Just because they're one of the people that really kind of need it. Unfortunately, right? But, like, the thing is, when you look at Nezu's rhetoric, Nezu's is about tolerance. And that tolerance could be applied more quickly to the villains. So, it's really just an issue of what exactly is Hawks seeing. I need this to be properly explained. Because otherwise, Hawks' rhetoric isn't going to get us anywhere. Speaking of Moonlit, angry at Makoto the fact holding themselves back. Well, that was unfortunate because Makoto didn't do anything wrong. Also been reading New Static Shock, loving the art, the type of graphic novel manga style I like. Static's dad apparently showed him the 80s and 90s anime as a kid in this incarnation. Oh, nice. That's nice. In Toga's origin, when she was sucking the bird, does that mean she could turn into the bird? I've never seen her turn into an animal, especially an animal so small. No, I think, Leela, that was just like the big... I don't think she can turn into animals just yet. But to me, that just seemed like to be the first step, right? That was like Toga's finding out she wants to suck things. New Static comic takes influence from manga, and I love it. The boss messed up. Imagine if the boss made use of Twice's quirk. He could have Twice work an entire department and spend his money on wage. Yeah, right. But you got it. Like that was the villain of Twice's story. Twice did so much crime without a mask that it showed how bad of a criminal Twice has always been. Become the next Mr. Krabs. Oh my god. Yeah, man. Look, like honestly, if I could clone myself, 100%, I would send one of me out to enjoy life, and then I would 100% just send the other me to work on a novel, and then the other me to just work on YouTube. That would be the life for me, man. And then I guess another me to go work, and we would take turns. We'd all enjoy it because we all like what we do. Yeah, no, man. That would be the best. That would be the best life. I'd be in. If only I could clone myself, man. If only I could clone myself. Life would be so much easier. God, if I had 10 clones of me, I could work on 10 novels at the same time. That would be crazy. Okay, let me see if I can switch over. What would be the real you? The last one left standing. I have many procedures in case I ever run into a doppelganger of me. Because you never know. One day we might have like a quantum apocalypse where all of our doppelgangers come through from another world line. You never know. I keep my eyes out for any kind of apocalypse that might be coming on the horizon. Like normal people do. And yeah, in the case of Clone Me, if I ever run into a doppelganger, the thing that we have to do is fight to the death, obviously. And whoever wins gets the right to be the real person, and no hard feelings. So no cursing in case afterlife is a thing. No haunting either. Gotta be fair. Yeah. I look forward to it. Hope that apocalypse doesn't happen. But yeah, I don't know if a quantum apocalypse is possible, but it would be pretty cool. Oh god damn it! A lot of my stories, I like playing with the idea of doppelganger apocalypses. Haven't made a story out of it yet, but we'll one day get there. Oh, and for anyone wondering about the situation with any of my stories, I'm currently uploading one to one of the online platforms. So I'm just trying to gauge interest there first, and maybe in a few weeks I'll let you guys know where it is, and then you can go check it out. And then I have another Isekai slow life story. Gohan, I think you're gonna like this one. I have a Isekai slow life story with a wolf girl. And I wrote that one thinking of you, Gohan. I'm 6,000 words in, so I hope that once well, Gohan, I'll let you know if you want to read it. I'll pass it on to you, and you can check it out early. Do. Let me just load up My Hero Academia. God, man. Kind of wish I wasn't on incognito, but gotta support my fellow YouTubers as much as I hate it. And guys, like I'm trying to write stories as quickly as I can, but a lot of my ideas are too similar to each other. So once this gets going, and if I have like a nice little like story production mill, and I'm actually successful, 100% I'm gonna plagiarize myself, cause like I can't. I'm trying to like write as quickly as I can, but like too many similarities. So I'm just gonna plagiarize myself, different pen names. It's gonna be fun once we get there. Now let's see. Hey chat, I have a question. I watch both the sub and dub, but my question is, am I the only one that loves Shige's dub voice more than his sub? I like it because of how bad it is. It has charm. Leela, I don't watch dub. Trip is really a doomsday prepper. If I had the money, I would be. See, the thing is, when you live in the Caribbean, being a doomsday prepper just means you're getting ready for the next big hurricane. Like, if you don't have water supply, and if you don't have extra food just kind of hiding in there, in your house, you know, like a hurricane might come around and you're done. Yeah, no, man, like, when you actually have a threat of your island disappearing, like, 5 times a year, you pick up good habits. So Toga can't turn into animals? Leela, it's unconfirmed. We don't know yet. I mean, if she can, that's going to be pretty great, but we don't know yet. Fire Force doppelganger's been in real life, yeah. If it's a Fire Force doppelganger, I'm in trouble. I don't think I'm going to survive that one. Is it sad that I want Izuku to save another kid? He saved Kota, Eri, and the boy from Heroes Rising. It would be so cute. I don't think that's sad at all. Imagine Shadow Clone Jutsu, instant transmission. Life would be bee's knees. Oh my god, Mark. Yeah. Mark, if you had that power, you'd catch Corey. You'd do it. Man, Mark, you're living life in the hard mode. Then you realize you wrote 10 copies of the same story. Matt, if that happened, holy crap, that would be both interesting and also like, why did we not plan things out better? No, Twice was an amazing criminal. Did you see all the money he got? But then again, it was yen, so that translates to $20. Apocalypse Transmigration has sizable amount of stories. Yes. Hey Google, Toga's quirk is so weird. Think about it. For a moment, she's 5'2", based off of her wiki page. Rocklock is 5'8", so she can change her size while transforming. So can she transform into a baby? I think so. Yeah, maybe. I say one of the best comics to read right now is Immortal Hulk. Really goes into his origins. We also see the original persona of the Hulk, which isn't the one based on childhood trauma. Okay. The last non-doppelganger kid alive in doppelganger world, hunting him, but he unlocks the power to travel through different doppelganger worlds. Oh, did you guys watch the finale for Rick and Morty? Just read a webtoon called Parallel Cities. It's about doppelgangers and stuff of a parallel universe. So far, it looks cool, though I haven't caught up. Oh, okay. Water bro food, you know, extra pieces of wood, towels, and more chip. You get what I'm saying? Oh wait, Omar, you live in Puerto Rico. Yeah, bro, I 100% understand. Yeah, extra. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. Make sure you board up. Make sure you don't get hit in the head by a shingle. 100%. Make sure you get all your water, especially you, Omar. Make sure you have your water because your government's not going to help you out. Yeah, let's see. Where's the extra cells and DNA coming from when one transforms into something that's bigger or smaller? Yeah, Leela, it's the same question that you should have about whatchamacallit, Momo, because Momo's quirk doesn't make sense either. We are gonna go to 144p because we don't really need extreme graphics. Oh, hey, True Star. This is just what we do. Viz sometimes wants us to watch other people's opinions and then criticize them. I'm enjoying how things are playing out in the anime adaptation of Realist Hero. Nice. And Skelly said, it's not plagiarizing yourself, it's building a personal brand. You're right, Skell. You are right, but I feel bad. Toga was able to transform into that granny during the war. Yeah, I follow a few stories. Wife. Yes, Gohan, I remember, because you told me you really like wolf waifus. That's why I'm thinking of you, Gohan. Thinking of you, buddy. Kyle's a slippery one, but I'm this close, Chief. Ah, nice. Nice, Mark. I knew I was right to believe in you.
My Hero Academia.
Okay, let's do this.
Alright, to continue the theme.
The moment I play the video, the stream's health automatically dips. It's the worst.
If a giant fox lady hugs me and calls me her crybaby hero. Bro, I cannot say this on air what I would do.
Okay, like I do think that was like it's pretty aggressive in English. I think it's probably nicer in Japanese. I think it sounds better in Japanese.
Like that shit. Hori's nasty for this. Like he clearly loves this weird mouse girl, and I'm all for it. I love her too.
Yeah, what? How big is this bitch supposed to be? That's all I'm wondering. Because I feel like every time I see her, she's 3 feet taller than she was last time I saw her.
Well, the thing is, every time he draws her, Hori gets 3 feet hornier. So you know. Or
I
like,
agree with
Now
that.
She's picking Deku up like a baby.
I love the Fox Lady too.
one of her ass cheeks is as big as Koda's entire body.
I know. Like look at Koda's whole body, and he comes up to her knee when she's like bending down.
This is peak character design, by the way. I don't want to hear anything else.
I agree.
This is what peak character design is all about.
Agreed.
But anyway, this was a good chapter. I actually really enjoyed it. On my first read, I was like, ugh, are we still trying to get Deku to UA? Like, it's been a month. You know, a month of people talking about how they feel, which is a bit trying, but, you know, as I reread it, I was like, you know what, this is actually kind of sweet, because the last few chapters have all been sort of these hero speeches about how the world should be and how heroism should affect them. But then this chapter is very much sort of more practical, like, okay, but what does that mean? And what does that specifically mean for, like, the average person? And I like that it's Deku's Chapter 1 fan that makes a reappearance and tells everyone, hey, so we're kind of super placid and passive, and we kind of need to change that, otherwise we're literally not doing anything better. I like that. I like that it was sort of... You see, MHA does this thing where it will randomly just acknowledge the single most reasonable aspect of a certain ideology or of a certain scene. And it hits every time, because here as well, where he's like, you know, we become coddled with All Might, and, you know, despite how much we talked about how he inspires us, in the end we were just spectators, and that just doesn't fly anymore. I thought that was really good, you know, despite the fact that it's, again, just another chapter of speeches. So yeah, I found myself very endeared with it, and, you know, Deku...
So what he's talking about is really important. Like, I touched on this too, but like when you look at Ochako's speech, it's very mechanical, because the author, he knows everything he has to hit. He made the really questionable choice of trying to characterize Nezu'd while he had Ochako's speech. He has Best Genius presenting another direction. He was very smart with going the emotional route. Ochako's speech is way too intellectual. So then you had the guy coming in and just summing everything up. And being a little bit more direct. And Miguel has his points about this too. Like, that was important because like there is a narrative angle there that works. The fact that it's hitting people more is just because of the simplicity to it. That the old man's speech is more comparable to Ida's speech in that it's just quick and to the point. Like, you easily understand it. Whereas Ochako's is just, it requires a lot because the author is trying to make Ochako's horrible rhetoric better than it is. Which is just ultimately, this is how simple it is to get Ochako's rhetoric across. Mind you, like, hers is about who supports the heroes, but then you have the old man just being flat out, it's us, it's just us, right? Like, again, reiterating. But it ultimately just because Ochako's rhetoric was always going to be simple, and the author had to make it bigger to make it seem like it was bigger than life.
Declaring, once again, we will do this, we will win, kind of hit pretty hard, and then you have like a double spread of the civilians helping the heroes and kind of connecting, and then the metaphor of One for All being the sort of this line of connections between people, which is kind of corny, but also, you know, I'm here for it, because I mean the entire point of One for All is to be the accumulation of heroic power and will, so I'm good with that. So yeah, very, very good chapter.
It was good.
In
Yeah,
my opinion.
I am kind of feeling the fatigue.
I think the One for All is probably still like the that was a force. That was a narrative force. He just wants to force a One for All in there, but One for All is significantly more dysfunctional. Like, nah, we could have done without that.
Of like, oh my god, or yeah, how many speeches at this front door do we have to give? Like, Jesus Christ. It's not too bad yet, but like if there's another speech in front of this building next week, like if All Might turns around and is like, it's my turn to give a speech, I'm gonna be like, okay.
I don't think there will be another speech chapter. I think it's rule of threes, because the author, when he starts doing this kind of stuff, he usually goes in threes max. So I think we're done here. I don't think there's going to be any more speeches if we assume rule of three for this one.
Everybody's had their speech. For the love of God, please.
Yeah.
Let's start progressing the plot a little bit, maybe. That would be great.
Yeah, because like so the sequence from since UA
And guys, I'll read your comments as soon as we're done here.
students showed up to help Deku to now has been longer than the entire Stain arc. Like we've been
feel it.
Yeah, we've been dealing with this for almost 2 months now. Like we've been trying to get this kid into this school for 2 months. I'm not a parent. I shouldn't be doing this.
Right? Yeah. Like, I'm not on the PTA, bro. All right.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this shit. And like, for me, I get this is part of the reason why I think that One Piece stuff is like comical, not touching. Is like I get emotional overload, where like the more time you spend trying to hammer home, like, don't you feel things at me, I become like, oh my god, like, I did, and now it's becoming stupid. And so
Yeah.
there's only so many faces, like, sobbing faces that I can take before I'm like, okay, it was very heartfelt 2 weeks ago, and now I'm kind of just numb to it, and I'm no longer that interested in it.
Yeah.
Like, Kota was kind of cute, because he, like, did the little All Might thing, and then he said, get it, because he's, like, 4 years old. And I was like,
Yeah.
ah, that's cute. But,
Yeah.
like, no more speeches, though, okay? Please.
Yeah. No. Next week we need to go into action.
Yeah, we need to move on.
Yeah. I will say Koda's thing actually hit me also hard because he does basically the same face and the same sort of panel structure as Deku does in Chapter 1 when he saves Bakugo. Like, it's the exact same facial expression.
Yep.
Oh,
And
it
I
is.
don't know if, I don't know if that's just Hori only being able to draw one face from that angle, but I don't think so. And you know, I know last week I think you mentioned that it's weird that the people running to him are Koda and this random lady.
Just this woman he bumped into on the street one time.
Yeah, but honestly, now that I'm looking over it again, I kind of like it. Because you have Koda, someone whom he affected very much in like a super epic way, where you have like this death fight. And then you have Fox Lady, who's like, you know, a very small act of kindness that nonetheless meant a lot to her. And I feel like it's cool that you have this sort of spectrum around him. And, you know, this is 100% me making an excuse for what is a weird character decision. But I can't see...
No, like, we talked about this before. Like, the reason it's there is just to show that every little effort, like even small acts of kindness and the big acts of kindness were worthwhile. And also because the author really likes that Fox Lady.
that. And I appreciate it, you know, like I can see that, and it makes me feel better about this chapter. And of course, you know, I love, again, the fact that there's so many reappearing characters in the crowds. Obviously, the obvious one being Chapter 1 Starfish Head guy. Just awesome that he makes a return. Also terrible because it means, yeah, we're definitely moving towards the end of, we're, you know, bringing back the incidental Chapter 1 character.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Yeah. I do really like the double spread of them walking Deku inside and being like, everybody get out of the way because this boy is noxious. The fumes coming off of this child will render you unconscious if you get too close. Everybody please back up.
Also, I like how it's a freeze frame of Kaminari smacking Bakugo over the head.
Yeah, in the back of the head because he's being an
Yeah.
asshole to that guy in the crowd.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very cool. And I also like Hawks' like interpretation of it all, where it's like, you know, we don't have to bear these burdens alone anymore. We are a web of connections, and because of that, every single one of us is going to be uplifted. And that's a world that I want to live in. Just very cool. Also, can we talk about Endeavor? Like, this man is straight up lying. When he agrees with Shoto that they're gonna go deal with Toya together.
Oh yeah, that's not a you got it son face.
Yeah, that's
a
a
I'm hiding my lie from you face.
Yeah, that's a I plan on
No, I think Endeavor's probably gonna
killing
work
him
together.
alongside myself.
Yes.
face.
Mm-hmm.
I think Endeavor's gonna.
That's definitely gonna happen.
Nah,
Either
I
Dobby
think
will
Endeavor's
win,
gonna be
Or
okay.
like Endeavor's not gonna be able to go through with it, or they're both gonna die together. One of the two.
Yeah. When I saw Pineapple tweet about it, and I thought that was a really cool idea, because I think at this point everyone agrees that the fight between Endeavor and Dobby and whoever else is involved is going to happen at the house, at the Todoroki mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of doesn't make sense for it to happen anywhere else. And I found it cool that Pineapple and a couple of people were saying, like, what if when Dobby said, come dance with your son in hell, what he meant was the house? Because the house to him was his personal hell. And then you could have, like, that arc be called A Dance in Hell. Would that be so fucking cool?
That would be cool. But I feel like it can't. I feel like it can't end with Endeavor and Dobby just killing each other. I feel like it can't. The Shoto has.
That's an interesting idea, but like the families are all moved to the shelters, so they're probably not going to have a fight. I mean, Dobby can invite Endeavor there, I guess. I mean, it's because of the shelters, the way the shelters work out, it's kind of thrown off my own ideas. I thought Dobby would attack the family when they were living at the separate house, but he never did that. So, yeah, we'll have to see.
Has to fight him.
Yeah, maybe at the start, but I kind of
But
feel
yeah,
like,
either,
Also, that house doesn't have any rhetoric saying that house denied Dobby. His personal hell is wherever Endeavor is.
like he fights at the beginning, and then Endeavor comes up and is like, all right, you gotta get out of here.
I think it's more appropriate that Dobby fights Endeavor maybe at the mountain where Dobby initially died.
And
Mhm.
he forces Shoto to leave, or Shoto comes in at the end when the house is already burned down, and you know he just sees Dobby leaving, and Dobby's like, haha, fuck you, kid, and they fight later. Like I don't know, but there's no way that Shoto and Dobby don't engage at some point.
yeah, but honestly, the way I'm seeing it right now, because the thing is, Dobby probably has to die. Because Hori has in a lot of interviews talked about like reformation of villains and how it's a super hard thing to pull off because you need it to be believable. And not only do you need to be believable, you need to get your audience on your side. Because if you just redeem someone, you are still going to run into the problem of the audience looking at their TV screens going, but he's a fucking murderer, don't redeem him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with Shigaraki, he has set himself up to do sort of a redemption story, or at the very least,
I need to see these interviews.
hey, actually, you were kind of just a victim story.
Yeah,
Dobby
I
feels
think
much
it's leaning more toward victim than redemption, but still.
Yeah, and I think Dobby is kind of too far gone. Like, Dobby is a mangled monster at this point.
I agree.
Yeah,
and
I think that any sort of like I don't think it's impossible to like make Dobby realize what he's done is shitty or whatever, but I feel like there's no returning his sanity without him realizing that he's done all this horrible shit, right?
Yeah.
Like part of the problem when it comes to redeeming a villain is not just like, oh, the Darth Vader, like all he did was kill the Emperor. That doesn't really make up for the horrible massive genocides he's done. But at the same
Mhm.
time, like if they're how redeemed are they to the point where they're not like, oh my god, this horrible shit that I did, like I should be
Mhm.
traumatized at best from all of
Mhm.
this information. I don't really see what you could do with Dobby, other than just like he could maybe have some sort of last minute heroic sacrifice, but he can't show
Yeah.
up in 5 years as like
a pro hero.
yeah warm up hero Endeavor 2.
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo. But
Yeah.
yeah, because the thing is, I'm pretty sure Dobby's gonna die. Like, if there's any one character in the show that I am very sure that they're gonna meet their end by the time the series finishes, it's Dobby, because he just doesn't seem like the kind of character who would survive the finale. And,
Unless they take him to the super hospital.
unless
Anyone
they take
survives
him to
there.
That is true. And I think there is no way for him to die
Praise at
other
the
than
hospital.
Alongside his father. I just don't see it happening any other way. And so what I think is going to happen is that the fight is going to start as Shoto versus Dabi, and then Endeavor's going to join, and then Shoto's going to be incapacitated, he's going to lose or whatever, and then Shoto's going to be brought to safety, and Endeavor is going to burn up alongside Dabi. My only problem with that theory is the fact that canonically, Dabi, there's no reason to do that because Dabi would die way before Endeavor does to heat.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is then that Endeavor would essentially use that as a suicide excuse because he wouldn't have to kill himself to kill Dabi, but he would do it anyway. But then you run into other problems.
His son's body or whatever.
Yeah. It's complicated, but I definitely think there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Like me and my girlfriend have been watching MHA, the anime. I know. And we got to the Endeavor Agency arc yesterday night, and it just reminded me like this is the best thing to come out of My Hero, like by such a mile. It is no contest. And so I'm very excited to see how this ends up in the story.
I think Endeavor's probably going to survive. I think Dobby's going to go down, but I think Endeavor probably survives. I think Shoto is more likely to die. But that's my
how
personal
Ori finishes
bias.
this very, very crucial plot point. And yeah, aside from that, we get Aizawa, and we get the reveal that they actually did plan ahead and ship Kurogiri away so he couldn't get jailbreaked. And then we have a very ominous
I still
ending.
don't care at all about the Kurogiri thing.
I think no one who has any self-respect does. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is... There is no arguing that. Like, it is done so poorly. Because... And I've evolved my stance on it. I am convinced the Aizawa flashback from Vigilantes was meant to be in My Hero, and then got yoinked out into Vigilantes to promote it. I am actually very, very convinced of that, for the simple reason that it accomplishes nothing in Vigilantes, but would have accomplished everything in the main story. And the story of Vigilantes pretty much pauses to give you that flashback. And, My Hero, the main manga, weirdly mentions Shirakumo once, gives us a glimpse of him, and then nothing comes of it. That seems weird, doesn't it?
It does seem a little weird, yeah. I'm just baffled by the decision to put such a crucial piece of information in the spinoff, and then just be like, hey, it's also in this now, and if you don't read the spinoff, you just don't know, so you better go read it.
Yeah, like I am so annoyed at that, and I genuinely, this is one of those arguments that I will never budge on. I will never accept that this is somehow actually really good and efficient. Like no, it's yoinking out a crucial part of your story purely to promote a spin-off, and I don't care that comics do it too, and I don't care that the economic realities of the medium. Like if a change that you make for monetary reasons makes your product worse, it makes your product worse. And if you have to rely on side content to make your product function, then maybe you didn't plan that side content very well. Like what can I say? I will always be obnoxious about this. There's no shutting me
Oh
up.
god, did you see the one guy that said that we need to grow up if we don't like the return of Mirio?
Oh well, luckily for y'all.
I'm just trying to think if I could get a gotcha moment for him on that one about the side content. No, I understand the issue, especially when you don't have precedent for it. I understand the issue when you don't have precedent. Yeah, I personally enjoy it. I like reading side content for extra information. I personally really enjoy it. I think it's pretty cool. But novels do it a little bit more often, so it's a little bit more. It's a little different.
I pay my taxes, and I still hate that Mirio return.
Yeah, he like went on a long thing about how it's not we're being childish by calling it objectively bad instead of just saying we don't like it. And I'm trying to explain like that's the same thing. Because if you're saying you don't like something means that it's not like objectively good. Like, subjectivity, that's how it works. That's literally what it means. And no, I just keep getting this along like, you need help, kid.
Yeah.
You need therapy if you don't like Mirio's return.
You need therapy if you don't like this cartoon character's presence in a story.
Yeah, if you don't like the way he was reintroduced into the story.
Oh, gotcha, Miguel.
Yes, and it's usually written by like fucking terminally online kids to us grown-ass men. Like, I pay taxes. Do you pay taxes? No, most of you don't. Also, Mirio coming back is objectively bad because I say it is.
So deal with it.
Yeah, like Cole, I'm sorry. Like, here's the thing, right?
Okay, guys, 5 more
Objectivity can only be
minutes.
perceived through the subjective lens of our own experience. And
Oh, jeez.
on the internet, when someone talks about objectivity, more often than not, it's just them trying to hide their own subjectivity under something that they believe to be more valid.
Yes,
Like
always.
it's literally just that. Like you can, and here's the thing, right? Like you can approach objectivity in literary criticism. You can do that. You can try to look at things from as many angles as possible to extract a sort of truth in. But that is usually done under specific frameworks and specific theoretical ideals. You read a story under the idea of naturalism or rationalism or capitalist criticism. And then you find, a thesis statement that you can then try and objectively approach only through that lens. It's a very limited thing. And B, these are things done by people who, dedicate their lives to studying literature and understanding the complex network of cultural readings. Not necessarily by people who haven't read anything since middle school, but hey.
Who have never read something they weren't forced to that wasn't a manga.
Yeah, and like it's always hard to talk about these things without sounding super pretentious, because like you don't need to fucking read, you don't need to absolve like a literature bachelor to be able to tell me that you like Mirio's Return. But for the love of God, like, stop using the word objectivity when what you really mean is, I think this thing is cool and you're stupid for disagreeing. Because
Correct.
yeah, I am stupid for disagreeing, and you're stupid for disagreeing with me. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, that's generally what it always comes down to. Is
So my opinion's kind of like changed a little bit in general about this. Like, at the end of the day, on YouTube, I complain about anime. That's pretty much the joke. I just complain about anime. That's how I make my very small living. I just complain about anime. At the end of the day, like, what value is there really to complaining about anime? At sometimes, for people that care, it's like, you know, maybe you get an idea of my opinions on some like narrative techniques, but at the end of the day, you know, and this is kind of why I hope that I succeed more with the novels. I have all my literature theories, and all my literature theories are are pretty much in my like, I think they're pretty much useless unless I make money off of them. So that's what I'm doing. That's the way I see the world at this point in time. At this point, you know, I can tell you guys about all the pragmatic things that writers do, and I can break down how robotic the majority of stories are, and I can show you how robotic or how easy it is to produce like a really to produce a story that sells, and I can show you how soulless of a process that can be. But the reality is people don't like seeing their stories in those kind of lenses. So the only real way I see in order to validate that my approaches are correct is to use my approaches and make a lot of money on it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to break down all the genres I want, and I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to plagiarize myself, as Kelly said, make my personal brand, and then in a year from now, when I've made maybe $50,000 off of it, I will know, yes, my theories were worthwhile when it came to literature. At this point, I will say, I am doing better than the average, which is pretty good. Would like to do better. Some people do a lot better than me on their first try, but that's okay. I know my weaknesses, and I will produce more soulless material until I get to 50,000. Anyway,
99% of the people who are
that's my overall opinion about like when it comes to fighting with people about your opinions of whether or not something's objectively bad. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter unless you're making money on it.
engage in this discussion when they say objective. They just mean like I have to somehow come out justified in me liking this thing you don't like. So even if that just means telling you that you're being unfair by disliking it, that still counts as a win in my column, so I can feel better about it.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you invoke objectivity outside of the framework of literary criticism's established schools of thoughts, you actually are defaulting to the terms of objectivity put forth by like natural sciences, which is number-based and statistics-based. And if you can show me a statistic that shows me that Mirror's Return has 227% more good writing in it than things that I like, I'll be very surprised. And
There's a way to do that. The way to do that would be to write multiple stories that had that same mechanic in the way that it was done, and then show that it leads to more money. And this is an interesting thing that happens when you're writing genre fiction in general, because like there are things that are acceptable. There are bad writing techniques that are completely acceptable within a genre, and they are largely also expected. It really depends. It ultimately just depends on your target market. Like, really, anything can work as long as you have the right target market. As long as you're doing things like people like saying that they want to read something unique, but the majority of people just want to read something familiar. You just have to trick them, and that's like again where we get into like the really dark spot of writing, where writing a lot of writing is just manipulation. You're making someone for certain genres, you're making someone think that they're reading something new when they really aren't. In certain levels, it depends on what level you're looking at. If you're looking at a story from the level of the overview, chances are, overview wise, you're not reading something unique. You're reading something that came out of, like for romance, the romance beat sheet. If you're the uniqueness of stories usually comes in the minutia of details, and in this particular instance, like Gohan would know this really well because he knows how isekais work, but isekais are like the big example of in terms of the overview, they're all pretty similar. In terms of the minutia of details, that's where the uniqueness comes out. But yeah, no, there is a way to prove that Mirio was a worthwhile technique if someone went through the process of writing 10 lookalike stories that had the same kind of beat and the same kind of mechanism of Meteor arriving. Problem is, it would be very hard to isolate that. It'd have to be a giant experiment. It would take some time to isolate it, but you'd point at you'd look at your profit margins, and that'd probably be the way to do it.
If you do that, I'll tell you that statistics are stupid because they include numbers.
Thereby making them invalid.
Thereby making them fake by my estimates. Because, I can't estimate very far. We're talking about MHA, right?
We were.
Of course. The only series that can spark us into this shit. So, do we want to take our bets when and if All Might is dying?
I don't know. He's got to die at some point. I feel like it would be weird if he didn't. But I also feel like it's been so long that it would be hard to do it well. And I feel like if you kill him off, it's gonna come off kind of cheesy.
Yes, but also, last time Deku and him talked was literally them like having a very cold interaction that broke All Might's heart. And B, now we see All Might walking like really ominously. And I think he's walking away from UA, not towards UA. Yeah, he's walking away from it. That's the outside of the barrier.
Yes.
So, yeah. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what happened with Stain?
I think
Stain
it
will
would
stay
be neat.
again.
And no one has agreed with me so far on this, so feel free to disagree with me. But I think it would be neat if All Might's just kind of gone for a while, and Deku learns that something happened to him by seeing him in a more completed form inside of One For All.
Oh,
Like they're looking for him and they can't find him.
That
and then
would
Deku
be
talks to, like,
good.
the other shades, and he's not just like a weird fire in there anymore. It's just him.
You know what?
That'd be
Ending?
cool.
That could actually be pretty cool.
But that would be
I
that'd be
think a lot of
weird.
people, and I can sort of understand where a lot of people's disagreements with that will come from. I think a lot of people want All Might's death to be sort of, hashtag iconic anime moments, Jiraiya kind of deal. But you kind of can't do that anymore.
Well, yeah, he can't fight anymore, so it would have to be some form of self-sacrifice or.
I agree. It's gonna be
execution in front of
self-sacrifice.
Deku.
I think self-sacrifice.
Honestly, the one that I always thought was kind of cheesy but also cool was that he dies getting hugged by Shigaraki, and
He just gets dissolved.
yeah, that Shigaraki in a moment of childlike resolution and redemption reaches out for one person that has never given up on him, and then they too turn to dust, and that sort of
These are good ideas.
reinforces his current goal and makes him truly unsalvageable, and also complicates Deku's idea of I have to save him, not kill him.
No.
In comes the element of personal revenge, more so than already. So that could be pretty cool. But also, I think your idea is also pretty neat because I feel like it would give that sort of, it would make his death really cold and somber and in a way like, I know, harrowing, because like the number one hero, the big celebrity of the world dies unknown and kind of forgotten about, and is only really
it looks like alone, and it would be primarily Deku's fault because Deku's the one that left him.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Right? And this is something that is, I think weighs on Hori's shoulders quite a bit. All Might is the only character out of My Hero that is truly iconic. Like, there are other characters who are very popular, but I think All Might is the only character out of My Hero that has sort of ascended into that quintessential shonen manga character tier. Partially because he's really just a cool character to follow, but also because he just has so much natural charisma as a character. He's basically MCU JoJo, if you think about it.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so I think with him, you always have the question, what do you do with his death? What do you do with his ending? Because once you do it, that's done. That's a very important iconic character's death set in stone. And I think the big conflict there as a writer and as a reader is trying to negotiate, okay, this is cool, but is it the best thing? Okay, this is cool, but is it the most efficient thing, So, yeah, I guess we'll just have to see. But I definitely think if he's going to die in this story, it's not far off anymore.
Well, it can't be. It feels like the whole end of the story is not far off anymore.
That, but also, that panel is peak red flag. But also,
yeah, that panel is worrying for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, All Might has been radiating red flags, like death flags, for ages. So, it might also mean nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much every time he does anything, it's like a death flag at this point. So, I mean, yeah, you could be completely right that it's just like, it's him doing anything that's not like hugging Deku. So.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But like, is he with Stain right now? Like, is Stain there? Or is he just, was that shot just to be like, Stain's out somewhere fucking around?
Well, no, I'm assuming whatever happened, or like whatever the reason is that he's there, it has to do with the fact that Stain probably approached him, one way or another. So, I definitely think we're going to get something on that next chapter. Like that, what I want next chapter is either Inside on Stain or Inside on the League. I don't want any more school stuff, or, Deku stuff for at least a little bit.
No, I want more. I want more Izuku stuff.
Yeah, because these last chapters have been very saccharine and mostly good. I like them, but I think it's time to do something different for a bit. Because again, we've been trying to get Deku into UA for 8 weeks now. Like, we get it. We really get it, Hori, I promise. Like, I'm gonna go out and hug my girlfriend right after this podcast is done, I promise. I understand the importance of human connection.
No, I want more Izuku.
But yeah, so My Hero for me gets a wholesome out of 10.
Yeah,
that's my verdict.
Very cute now.
One thing I will say is that they're forgetting the situation with the Night Eye prophecy. 100% Night Eye is going to be wrapped back into this when it comes to that final moment. And I still don't think All Might's going to be executed. I think All Might's going to die like a hero and not the gruesome death. So, because I think that the author is going to want to say that, yeah, the death still came, but it was not the one that that Night Eye saw, because All Might changed it to something a little bit more, a little less dark. I think that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. All right, I will. I'll go back to you guys and Genshin. All right, let's go back. Let's see. Okay, they changed Momo's costume a bit in the My Hero Academia games. That's cool. Deku is so good with kids. He would make a great father, which is odd since the father is no-show. I don't live there, but I lived there for 1 year when the hurricane happened. I don't know what year because so many, and I learned a lot. True Star loves the Fox Lady. Crybaby here just reminds me of Tokyo Revengers. Yeah, favorite anime, like, okay, reminds Yasuka from DxD. Did you like Dalby's origins? Was his exploration for becoming a villain valid enough for you? Yeah, it was. He has the same problems that Endeavor does. I have no problems with his origin. Hori likes them thick. Now I got extra stuff in my own house. Let's see. She needs a name, just in case we visit. And I happen to get. I like the moment that she had with Izuku. That could have been Izuku's title, the Crybaby hero. I have the same as the Fox Lady, says Leela. Danny Phantom's clone. The original Hawk Persona was based on reading the Bible about Adam and Eve. As a child with an abusive dad, he saw the serpent talking to Eve as a father figure for giving her something she. Okay, I'm gonna assume. I think I know what you're gonna say. Where are you? Wasn't supposed to have. And give her knowledge as a way a father should. I'm probably not explaining it right, but basically original heart is based on the devil, and we find Hulk is connected to hell. Okay, I have this. Okay, let's got that. I wonder how old nameless unknown animal tall girl is. Is she in high school or older? Expected to be transferred to UA if she's a teen. I don't know. Hopefully she's within Izuku's strike range. I like Star Guy's speech summary. In that Hody illustration of the Fox Lady, am I the only one that felt like Kota should have been there instead? Maybe, Leela. I think he should have been there with them. If Deku gets all for one, he will just be overbloated. If you unlock too many quirks and get them, will you just like explode? Probably not. Illustration hitting a Mineta X Shark mouse. No, I don't think so. Let's see. Trip, I kind of think you're too hard on Ochako. I don't think her main role is to support the heroes. I think Cody is building her up as Izuku's woman. Behind every great man is a great woman. I find that you're being reductive. I think Ochako can be built up both as Horikoshi's or as Izuku's love interest and also to support the heroes. I mean, like, Leela, this is Ochako's heroic identity. I'm not being hard on her. I'm telling you the flat out reality of the manga. Like, when you have the poor girl repeating the same dialogue 3 times over and again, making her look slow compared to the rest of her classmates. No, 100%. This is her main heroic role. This is her heroic claim to fame. This is her heroic trait. It's this whole thing about who helps the heroes when they're suffering. And thank God we finally have the answer. Yeah, no, I think she's got this as her thing. And she also has like the Izuku romance angle. 100%. Like, Ochako is going to, like, this thing is going to spiral out. And Ochako is going to go up to Toga and she's going to be like, I'm going to help you out when you're suffering, continuing the suffering rhetoric. Like, this girl is going to be revolving around the idea of who helps people when they're suffering. People is the answer. But yeah, no, I don't think I'm being too hard. I think I'm being quite honest in general. When I first watched My Hero Academia, I thought Momo's quirk was really good because if anyone remembers Castletown, Dandelion, one of the superpowered royal siblings had the same quirk as Momo, but she can only make things based on the amount of money that was in her bank, but only have $200 in your account. I'd rather make something with fat being source. Oh, okay. I got that. Alright, cool. Also, if I sound irritated, apologies. My ear is hurting, so I apologize if I sound irritated. I'm not, I swear. It's just my ear is really hurting. Let's see. Maybe they fight at the old house. I think Hody only likes that Fox girl because he saw how fans reacted to the Fox Lady. No, I think he really likes her. Why is it? Because he didn't have to draw that extra little sketch of her, I think. Why isn't Endeavor dressed like he is in this chapter? Probably just trying to stay out of the rain. Imagine Ochako's quirk is actually some sort of weight thing, not float. Oh, yeah. I think Endeavor is trying to avoid being recognized. I don't think Endeavor can actually fight Dobby. It has to be Shoto. Endeavor will just freeze. I think they can both probably do something about it. I still see like a tag team on that one. I love Todoroki's storyline a lot. Let's see. You do not need to read Vigilantes. Dobby isn't going to die, guys. As someone working now in a psychiatric hospital, Dobby's a prime candidate as a not guilty by reasons of insanity. Dang it. Oceans is biased against Vigilantes. Okay. Take his take about that with a grain of salt. Got that. Also, where would the past story even be? I'm glad I'm not the only one seeing Shoto dying in the story, either saving his family or friends from Dobby or Shigaraki. I haven't read Vigilantes. I do not feel lost about Kurogiri. It's not taking away my sleep if I do not know the full backstory of a side character. Yeah, like the Kurogiri backstory. Like, it's just pretty much Aizawa and Mike had a friend and he died by rubble. I mean, yeah, it's a nice little anecdote, but like that's what Vigilantes has always been. It's just been like, look at these little situations and see how it kind of clashes with the rhetoric in the main universe. If the lens is limited, isn't that against the idea of objectivity having merit? Omar, that was Zenrato. Zenrotto. Yeah, I like hearing about the narrative techniques from you. I know jack shit about them myself. Oh, good, True Star. I'm glad people enjoy them. Because there are a lot of cool techniques, especially for Horikoshi, that he uses, that make things really worthwhile. Like, heck, man, like the whole fight with Villain Academia, when it comes to the anime, what you're really seeing here are people who like one narrative style versus another narrative style. The reality is, though, like when you look at, if you're an anime only viewer and you watch all of Hero Academia from start to end, and you were asked to pick out which arc is the one that most likely got interfered with the most, people aren't going to pick out My Villain Academia from thematics. Unless someone told them ahead of time, no one's going to pick out Villain Academia, because Villain Academia's anime style, that style is seen everywhere else in Hero Academia. In fact, you could say My Villain Academia is thematically extremely appropriate when it comes to narrative style, because Villain Academia anime style, they changed the tension point to be like, how did we get here? And if you think about that, My Hero Academia is the story of how did Izuku get to the ending that we already know about, that is him being the greatest hero or whatever else they're retconning now, right? Similarly, like when we started the after war Izuku on his own arc, we were at a point where we were wondering like, oh my gosh, what happened to Izuku that he's standing on top of a gargoyle? The reality is the technique that the anime chose for Villain Academia is perfectly valid. No matter what the manga fans want to tell you, screw tension. Tension is just an illusion to make you enjoy a story. You can make it work in other directions, as is proven by the fact that this technique, the story of how we got there, is worthwhile. So at the end of the day, like, you know, stories are ultimately things that are there to get you to feel stuff and maybe inspire you. At the end of the day, stories are there to get you to feel stuff. They are built specifically to manipulate. And I know people don't like me saying manipulate, but just let me say this as an engineer. They're there they are tools for manipulation to get a particular response from you. When you look at Hero Academia is 100% manipulated, because ultimately there's an editor telling Horikoshi, hey, I think this will kind of work better if you execute in this particular direction. There's always the thought, how can I make this work so that I continue to succeed within Shonen Jump? How do I make this work within the paradigm of Shonen? As long as there is always a fundamental thought of how to make this work within a framework, it's 100% a manipulated story, and that's where the narrative techniques come in, because the techniques themselves are born over many trials of repetition from a long series of people. These techniques that we have nowadays, the tropes that we have them because they are tropes and techniques that we know work. For shonen, you can definitely see that there are shonen habits that they do over and over because everyone knows that they work. So ultimately, you know, that's why I think it's worthwhile pointing it out. It is more mechanical than it should be, but successful stories are mechanical. Like, if you want to talk about a story that isn't mechanical, it's like when someone sits down and just writes whatever comes to their mind and then just puts that out there. That's probably like the least mechanical story, because that one's probably not thinking too much about it. If anything, they're probably just mimicking techniques that they've seen before, and they're not really thinking about the techniques that they're using. But you know, it's ultimately very interesting, because every story is the product of pretty much the trials and tribulations of the people that came before them, because so many stories use different techniques that they know have different effects. But that's my little thesis on it. A lot of American comics do things like how Hori treated Shirakuma plot. In Marvel comics, they're always putting notes at the bottom of panels. Yep, I know. Complain about art forms in serious business, like Slime and Overlord. Yeah, all the isekais have very different worlds and characters in general, but I see too many getting hung up in the genre itself from reading comments on manga sites. All Might is walking the plank. Any of you guys watch Triggered Senpai YouTube videos? No, not yet. He dogs My Hero Academia and other anime in his videos, and while I don't agree, he's hilarious. All Might trying to talk no Jutsu Shigaraki. We still do not know what happened with Stain, though. I don't know if Stain actually talked to All Might. I feel like you could tell me Stain is just watching All Might and hasn't approached him, and I would maybe agree with you. It's triggered. Let's see. All Might and Stain like talk, and that's True Star saying that. I've been cutting back on my YouTube watching. We want more Izuku stuff. Agreed. And no problem, Viz. So apparently I can't share YouTube links to the live chat, so I was trying to share Triggered Senpai Todoroki found Trip. Please play this video next. No, Leela. No, we're not gonna do that. It's right 11 o'clock. I'm probably gonna call it. If you're back here tomorrow, Leela, we can watch it though. Accept genres because I like retreading of certain plot lines. I accept genres because I like retreading of certain plot lines. Got ya, Speed. Just gets a good laugh out of me. Can't take him serious. Oh, that's good that White Sparrow also knows him. I want both. Like half a chapter, Deku moments, and the other half set up for what's happening with the villains and All Might. The author might go into like maybe 2 more chapters of setup if we're lucky. Maybe. He might spin his wheels a little bit for a while. Fox Lady is old enough to be Ada, but not old enough she should be arrested. Rant totally fucks up. Please play and talk about this. I thought it was hilarious. Let's see. Hope you get back. Oh, my ear. Gotcha. That's why I wear earbuds instead of headphones. Ears get irritated too easily. Hey, Trip. What a miss. Oh, Yusuke, we just watched a video together. Vigilantes was and is awesome. What is Spirit Trigger is hilarious. Don't take him seriously. However, you have to he makes good points here and there. What's your reason for why Shoto dies, Trip? It's pretty much just he dies for Endeavor to live. That's how I kind of see it. Like, Shoto just goes down for Endeavor's sake. Maybe sacrifices himself for him. That's the current idea I have. Gotta work on it a bit more, Ty. Do you think Baku will be a bit more friendlier to Izuku? I know he apologized, and Baku even said that it might not fix the relationship, but I really want them to be on better terms. I think so. I think they'll be a little bit better. Oh yeah, Mega, great, you're here. Mega, that question about do I look up meanings for Japanese names? Mega, I don't write I write anime inspired stories, but I don't write Japanese cringe, man. No. Unless I'm using a region that's based on Japan, I'm probably not looking up meanings for Japanese names. Mind you, like in general for characters, will I look up the meanings for names? Yeah, like if I'm doing like Celtic, if I'm going towards another really far out language, or I'm observing the origins of some particular monster species, I might look at I might look at names that have meanings in other languages and kind of add them there. But it's not limited to just Japanese names. So I'm sure like once I get to the point of writing like Japanese characters or Japanese inspired characters, I guess, at that point I would maybe consider looking at translations for that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I just kind of make up whatever sounds good. If the name is important for the character, then it's a little bit different. I give it a little bit more thought. Is it weird after the last 2 chapters I've been feeling that it's not fully says if the heroes felt the way they did and didn't seek therapy? That it's not fully the... Oh yeah, no, Chris. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Chris, just to make sure you're aware of my opinion is the civilians are being extremely kind to believe in the heroes still after the series of failures that the heroes have had. Like really, it's a two-way street, right? The heroes, they know what they signed up for, and then the civilians could stand to be nicer. 100% the civilians could stand to be better people. Like there is no excuse to not help a child who's lost trying to find his way home or something like that. There's no excuse to shame a family just because your one son made a mistake, right? The civilians could stand to be better. The heroes could stand to be better as well. I'd rather Endeavor die than Shoto, honestly. That's fine, Kayla. Like, I get it. I just think Shoto would be cool. Ochako, if there's a monster under my bed, who's under theirs? Whoa. Wait, Ken. I think you've actually asked the question that we can't answer with the regular Ochako stuff. Oh, dear God. Ken's done it. I don't know if there's a monster under the monster's bed. The one that has to be under the bed of a monster has to be a creep. And damn it, Ken, you broke it. Then Leela said that she agrees with the technique has been used from the very beginning. Am I the only? Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that Leela agrees. Am I the only one that found chapter 325 a bit short? You know, Eclipse, I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask on that one. I don't really look at chapters being short anymore. Oh, hey, Doctor, or DeFrost. How do we feel about Aizawa potentially orchestrating a revenge operation? I hope it's not him planning it. I'd rather it be Nezu. I don't know if he's gonna do it though, DeFrost. I feel like we're looking at more. This is just gonna be something that naturally comes about. I haven't read too much in Japanese light novels that have been too cringy or a lot of cringe in it. Yeah. Logically, the civilians don't realize they're essentially asking for security to be weakened by forcing the heroes to dedicate manpower to protect Izuku. Don't point it out, Speed. Trip, I will be here tomorrow night and remind you to look at Trigger. Oh, great. Thank you, Leela. Oh, Gohan, you're talking about what I meant about the cringe thing. No, man, no. On the Western market, there are people who do like hard Japanese light novels, and they put in like all the Japanese names, and like they have like the really, like, look, if you're selling in the Western market, if you're going to make something with Japanese sounding names in it, and you're going to be like heavily leaning into anime and all that kind of stuff, if you're making a light novel, like first off, you have to make sure that you are indistinguishable from the light novel species of books that are on Amazon. If you're an amateur and you're just writing up these little light novels with the Japanese names in it, you're like, from what I've seen statistically, you're not going to win out here, man. You are not, like, the odds aren't looking good for you being successful. Just because you're not adapting to your market very well, you got to be really careful with this kind of shenanigan. Like, my advice to you is, if you're writing a light novel, there's no reason for you to have Japanese names for every main character. It's just, like, your odds aren't great if you go down this particular route unless you're already established. You have to be really careful. Like, I see no strategic advantage to pretending you're a Japanese person. Just use regular names. But that's just a trend that I've noticed on the market. If you're going to write a light novel, you can write a light novel without having Japanese influence in it. And also remember, light novel is just a marketing term that Katakoa made up. It really means nothing. It just conveys a particular idea, and that is a novel with some illustrations in it. Oh, Ty's like, we stopped looking for monsters under the bed after we found out they live among us. Oh, Gohan, yeah, pretty much. Like, I feel really bad for those people too. The ones that do the hardcore light novels kind of shenanigans. Mostly because you can kind of tell who knows how to be a self-published author, and you can kind of tell who doesn't. Because there's a significant degree of you will tell because there's a significant degree of marketability that they know how to achieve, and they know the markets that they play in. And Speed points it out, yeah, your writing style will demonstrate you aren't Japanese anyway. I can let you guys know there is, so on the online platforms, there's, like on Royal Road and stuff, people will sometimes describe that they write light novel style. When they say light novel style, what they mean is they don't use dialogue tags ever. Rarely, but mostly never. They never use dialogue tags. And that's not something that comes about because of light novels. That's something that comes about because of the way that Japanese dialogue works. Because in Japanese dialogue, there's a lot of different ways to indicate which character is talking without using dialogue tags. And you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's pretty much any verbal tick. Like for Naruto, it would be Datebayo. Or Tsubasa, I think, for Boruto. Pretty much these little filler words are what give away that characters are speaking. And that's why light novels, if you look at your light novels, you will notice there's not very many dialogue tags. That's why they're able to do it. And also, the way they construct their talking sequences also removes the need for dialogue tags. And if you guys read web novels, if you guys read web novels, you might sometimes note that they have the person who's speaking in parenthesis. Now, I am not sure that the person who is speaking is in parenthesis in Japanese, because that would seem really inferior. I assume this is an artifact of translation. But yeah, that's the thing with what Speed said there. You will not be able to replicate light novel style, and it's going to look really jarring because light novel style works a little bit better in Japanese. And like Speed said, you're going to have a lot of giveaways that you aren't a Japanese author. The heroes are doing their best, doing their jobs. What more can they do? They fight villains and work hard. Yes, they made mistakes in how they treated Deku, but what else did they do wrong? Sure. They tied up Bakugo and paraded him out for the world to see, or for Japan to see. Forced him to receive an award, also showing him off to be extremely violent to the point that the villains thought that they had a pretty good person that they could kidnap and flip. They went through and kidnapped him. Aizawa failed at actually being able to save him. The heroes ultimately failed at countering Gigantomachia. The heroes, unfortunately, were having a hard battle. Unfortunately, in the eyes of the civilians, they failed. Endeavor's personal failings also came out. His son is a murderer. Again, not his fault. Yeah, no. Oh, right. You also had some heroes who flat out flipped to the Liberation Army. So, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, in terms of the optics, the heroes have most certainly filled... Oh, right. How could I forget? UA has a traitor, and they do not know where the leak is coming from. So, nah, it's all about the optics. It all builds up. But the people that do stuff in Japan use names that aren't necessarily 100%, like they can be used in other countries. Nini or Mimi, like Nina or Mimi. Mimi is a Japanese name. But for that Mega Green Kirby, it doesn't come off as cringy. I mean, like maybe in Japan itself it comes off as cringy, but it doesn't come off as cringy as someone over here giving their all-American cast Japanese names. It's like there's a certain veneer that you can tell when it comes to the lower works that aren't doing well on Amazon. There's a certain veneer that you can tell Mega Green Kirby. Like, mind you, Japan, like those writers also write about medieval settings, so they have people like Gwendolyn. They have people that have like nice English sounding names or like fantasy sounding names. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a particular type of writer that exists on the Western market that isn't succeeding, and they also have the cringiest names. That's more what I'm referring to. I'm really curious about is the backstory of Gigantomachia. Someone who's able to carry multiple quirks without enhancements is crazy. Where did he All For One find him? I don't know. Can't stop imagining a scenario after Toga talking to Deku in the dorm. She disguises herself as him and tries to get past Class A by trying to act as him and try to get the heck out of there. Oh, okay. Is there a genre for light novels, as you said, novels in English literature? This one's hard, Leela. Because you wouldn't call it a genre. Like, even calling light novels a genre is pretty bad. Just because light novels encompass many other... Like, light novels are a style of novel. Leela, you probably know. You know novellas, novelettes, novels, epics. You know the distinction between them, especially novellas. Light novels are pretty much the term that they use for novellas. The thing that I would say here is that there from a very long time there's already been novels that have illustrations in them. Like kids, like I remember I had kid books like Secrets of Drune that had illustrations within them, and I think like Harry Potter had like very small illustrations. Like we've already kind of had this before, so it really depends, right? Ultimately, light novels is a marketing term that Karakoa made up, and we all know what we're referring to when we say light novels. So there isn't a genre for light novels, but there is a descriptor. Like if I'm on Amazon and I have a light novel and I'm marketing something as a light novel, 100% I need to have illustrations in there. because otherwise people are going to call me out. Like when you say light novels on Amazon, what it says to the buyer is like, oh, I should expect Japanese or anime-ish shenanigans to occur, right? It's ultimately a marketing tool when I use it as well, because I just want to say like, hey, if you like Shield Hero, you know, this is kind of in the same vein kind of thing. I can't stop imagining. Oh, no, I got that. Did you see the chapter of the spin-off that I showed? No, Mega Green Kirby. Did you put that on Discord? I only saw your question. How much of failings might have been memory hold at this point? Public memory is usually about 2 weeks. Good point, Chris. Good point. A lot of the failings might have been memory hold. I mean, like, but that's a manipulation tactic. I would 100% bring up all the receipts. Like, if I'm going to be vindictive to someone, I'm bringing up all the receipts. I don't care if it takes like 10 days to get them all. I'll bring them all up. Let's see. Those made up American last names, they think up in Japan, though. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, right. There are the really cringy ones that we see from the Japanese authors. There are some cringy ones. Like, let's be fair. Like, manga does have some pretty cringy American names. And yeah, Gohan, that's exactly what I was thinking of. It's like naming your child Bakugo P. Johnson. That will 100% be cringy. Yeah, it would be. I found a manga with the worst MC name. He didn't want to be the center of attention. Hence, after defeating the Demon Lord, he became a guild master is the manga. Nice. Mio is also a name that is used in other places. For example, in the dating sim, there's a girl called that. I think you can... Also, Erica is another name like that. Like, Mega, what can we say? There's a limited number of syllables in the world. I'm not gonna... Like, if Japan has names that sound alike to other names, then that's just a natural consequence of a limited amount of sounds. Heck, Korea has people named Park. I'm like, how did that come about, right? It's just a matter of syllables. Like, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. If you're saying that because there are names that sound similar in two languages, that this is somehow the Japanese co-opting a name from another source, no. I can see how Mio is constructed in the Japanese language given what sounds they have in their language. I mean, again, like if someone calls their kid Katsuki Hamburger, that's a little bit different. That's definitely cringy. Or a new returner. Oh, you know, Gundam names are pretty good. If you have someone like going off and saying a new returner, well, Gundam kind of made this okay because they have so many names all over the place. Bright Noah. Yeah, no. Gundam's made its own thing. Yeah, it'd be like more mishmashes like that. That chapter I only mentioned last stream on Thursday, I think. Oh, wait, are we talking about Sekirei? How would you react if the Toga All Might theory is true? Tai? I'm gonna feel really bad because I'm about to like blow it up. Yeah, no, man. If that's true, it's like, why this one? Why did this one have to be true? We survived Bakugo is Towa. We survived Inko is dead. Why is it this one that has to be true? I'm just saying those names have either two origins or stuff. Oh, gotcha, Mega. Like, yeah, Mega. Like, it's fine if they have two origins. Like, whatever. Like, it's irrelevant though. We're not talking about names that naturally occur within a language. We're talking about names that are transplanted from another language by people who are fans of the language. But fair enough. Do you think if Toga was really disguised as All Might and tried to stab Izuku with her signature, would that be creepy? Yeah, that'd be creepy. That'd be creepy. Should I say the name for the MC of the manga? Yes. And the manga author knows what he's doing with that name. Yes, please say it. Say it. I remember learning that Young wasn't a Chinese last name. After thinking about it for a while, it's an English word, and the Chinese Young is actually Yuong, I think. In Assassination Classroom, there was a kid named Justice by his cop parents. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cringe though. That was pretty cringe. We all knew that was pretty cringe. Oh, Dick Silver. All right, nice. It's also not. Let's see, at Miguel. It's also, I had a person I knew with a game back on another country in Latin America with that name. Oh, okay. It's also not too. I heard a person I knew with that name back in other country in Latin America. Well, yeah, Erika. Like, Erika's a very... Look, to be fair, if you're going to bring up Spanish, the Japanese syllables are pretty similar to the Spanish syllables. That's why you have a lot of Japanese words that are also Spanish words, like I swear I have this. Oh, mami. Yeah, that's the simple one. Mami. That's mom in Spanish and someone else's name. Like, again, when you have these very simple sounds in both languages, names naturally occur. It happens a lot more for whatever reason in Spanish and Japanese than it does with English and Japanese, which is weird. But actually, does anyone know? Is Japanese like slightly based or slightly connected to Latin? Because it would make sense of the Latin-based languages. It makes sense if there's a lot more commonality, if there's some kind of weird Latin-based connection when it comes to the sounds in the Japanese language. And gotcha, Mega Green Kirby. But yeah, no, like there's a lot of I've found a lot of recurring sounds between Spanish and Japanese. Trying to think if I can get any other ones. I mean, Tomo, yeah, that's drink, and then someone else's name. Mind you, like the Tomoe. I wonder, are there any sounds in Spanish that ends up with the OA sound? Not at the end. And yeah, like pan. Oh yeah, pan. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Good one. That was a good one, Mega. And the author words stuff with that name. Basically, the wife was saying a lot. They need more time with him. I agree with Bakugo thing, however. Heroes did not fall with Higantomachia. He was stopped. The traitor, no fault of the heroes. No, the problem with that is that that Yue hasn't found the traitor. They are dropping the ball on that. Mind you, it's again a situation of optics. There's no way to stop the traitor. Heroes knew a traitor was an option. The way to stop the traitor is to find them. But again, we're talking about the failings of the hero. Like if you can't find your traitor, it's because you're ultimately losing against the traitor. Like you're 100% failing against the traitor. There's like you can try and spin this, but you're failing against the traitor. That's a failing. No way around it. The heroes did not fail with Higantomachia. He was stopped after destroying 19 cities. Yes, I agree. He was stopped after destroying 19 cities. Again, optics. I think you can destroy a bunch of people with just the sheer optics of this. Like there's no real victory here. Oh, Tai. Let's see. My grandmother on my dad's side gave them middle names based on the zodiac sign. His name is Leo. Oh, Leo's a good one. Now, Mega Kirby, I think Leo is definitely one that went across to Japan because of the constellations. I think that would be a good example of one that was transplanted across. Because I don't think Leo naturally occurs. Chi-Chi is a Japanese name and Spanish for boobs. I never used that word in Spanish, so I that one always catches me off guard. I don't know if it's in Cuban Spanish or not. I guess it also shows up in Chinese. Because we know we have Chi-Chi. Although in Chinese, I guess it's QI. Aizawa says that Yue is a stronghold, even though the traitor has not been located and Toga is still at large. Yes. I mean, look, if the traitor actually ends up being a critical aspect into allowing the villains to get a hit on Yue, then 100%, that's when you're going to see, like, okay, you guys really dropped the ball here that you didn't find your traitor in time. There's a YouTube person called Native Lang that goes into depth of language. Oh, okay, nice. But yeah, no, like for the hero's sake, I really hope the traitor doesn't pop up because that's gonna look bad. It's gonna look really bad. But the heroes are used to looking bad. So if someone gets reverse isekai, will they have to learn English? Well, Mega Green Kirby, typically when you're getting isekai, you either get a blessing that lets you know the language, or you go to a world that has the exact same language that your world has. There's a manga by the author of Dragon May literally named Chi. Okay. Oh, Dragon Maid. There's a Manga by the author of Dragon Maid. Got it. Literally named Chi-Chi. Gotcha. The Japanese name Mika has Latin origins. The other dragon in the Dragon Maid has a spin-off manga. Shouldn't they be doing something soon on the heroes from the US coming? Maybe a story about egos and the kids from 1A setting them straight? I don't know. I don't know, Kenneth. Like, I'm the worst person to ask because I don't believe we're actually gonna get anything meaningful out of international heroes. So I'm the worst person to ask, Kenneth. I'm really sorry. I'm not the best to ask. I'm just too miserable. It'd be good if Nezu... Oh, guys, we're going to call it in 4 minutes because it's almost 11:30 my time. It would be good if Nezu was actually steps ahead and told class one piece of information. If that information was leaked, then we could weed the traitor out. Also do the same with teachers. Yeah, that'd be great if Nezu did that. Or you can learn language from the age of a baby. Some names originate from cultural exchange with other cultures because of newly introduced words and transformation of language. Yes, agreed. You know, I feel like Japanese uses a lot more hard sounds. Like I was just thinking tamaki, and it's like I'm not sure how many K, like the ka sound I see tamaki. Not really sure how many of those I would encounter in Spanish. I feel like there's more in Japanese because of the way they're constructed. Let's see. Watch May actually hack the UA security system and separate Izuku and the other heroes in time of crisis. Tsukasa and Tsuka. Oh, that's a good one, Mega Green Kirby. Yeah. Like that's a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, Tsukasa, but I don't really. Oh yeah, you know what? There's also not any TSU. There's no TSU in Spanish that's formed like that. I noticed Chinese use a lot of X's and Q's. Realistically, you cannot make a 100% immersive isekai with a new language because a reader would have to learn a new language whenever a native person of the world speaks. Agreed. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Good night to you too. But yeah, no, I agree with Miguel. There's like some fights that you just shouldn't be dealing with unless you make the entire gimmick of your isekai learning the new language. I mean, you 100% could, but language acquisition isn't really something that people enjoy unless you manage to gimmick it. Like, you could make it work, but it has to be a really good gimmick. Like making people learn fantasy languages kind of works better if you give them the option to learn it, but it's not required. Like in Genshin Impact, people went and they learned how to read the Tevat alphabet or whatever, right? If you want to go ahead and do that, you have the freedom to do it, but you're not required. Yeah, Gohan, send me the link, man. The trailer seems to be dormant this entire time since the training camp. An educational manga about learning language is the next big hit. Ooh, that would be good. Yeah, that would be really good. Let's think. Did I want to do anything else for Genshin? No, not really. Anyway, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll watch Leela's video if she's back. We'll talk. I guess we're not going to get any spoilers, which is unfortunate, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Right now, what's going on? We are looking out for whether or not Red Hood is going to be canceled. If tomorrow it comes out that Red Hood is in the bottom 3, then we have time. It's time to start getting worried, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Gonna start saying the good nights. Oh, just turn it into Food War style. Yeah, pretty much gimmick it out. So good night to Ty, Speed, Mega, Animamus, Gohan, Matt, Miguel, Viz, Leela, Mega Green Kirby, Skelly. Thank you. That's probably you, Gohan. Thank you. Good night to Kayla. Thank you all for being here. Oh, Mega, it's Red Hood. It's a manga on Viz. Oh, sorry, not Viz. Yeah, actually on both. And sorry, Viz Trio. But on the site Viz Media and Shonen Jump Plus. Oh, good night to Mark. Good night to Sar. Good night to AN683. Yeah, everyone else. There were 20 people here. Thank you all so much for being here. It's always fun chatting with you guys. You guys always rock. And stay safe. Ending the stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Till next time, everybody. Stay safe and have a great night.